Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. Overwatch comes to Marvel. Chapter 1. In fact, I am Iron Man. Seeing this, Luo Ning turned off the TV and finally confirmed what kind of world this is. All in all, this is the Marvel world where gods and demons fight, and it's also like the weird Laojai world, where all kinds of weird people or things will come one after another. At this time, the first superhero was born. It was the extremely conceited Iron Man Tony Stark. Strictly speaking, he is the second, because Captain America was born before him, but Captain America is still frozen in the deep sea and is unknown to the world. After today, the newspapers will spread the news wildly, and Iron Man's reputation will surpass that of the fictional hero created by Overwatch films, Soldier 76. After so many days, Luo Ning readily accepted his identity, the CEO of Overwatch Pictures. Lying on the sofa, he picked up the strong tea and took a sip. The bitterness made his slightly tired mind concentrate. As a member of the time-traveling party, he doesn't have any special abilities. Compared with those time-traveling party members who come from useless backgrounds but have powerful golden fingers, the only advantage he has is his background. He is not a good-for-nothing, nor is he a pauper, but a domineering president. Perhaps the term, overbearing president, is more suitable for those Mary Sue novels. From top to bottom, Luo Ning couldn't find the slightest trace of the president. He was wearing a gray sportswear, and he spoke and behaved very casually, more like a sloppy college student. In terms of self-confidence, he can compete with that Iron Man. Apart from providing a film script every 6 months, Luo Ning is unwilling to step into the company. Compared with the tedious work, which is actually sitting in the office and blowing on the air conditioner, he prefers to stay in a coastal villa without the sound of sirens, listening to music and playing games while blowing the sea breeze. Sure enough, traveling through time still cannot change the deep-rooted dead house attributes. The phone rang, but Luo Ning didn't answer it. He hated being disturbed when he was thinking about his life. At this moment, you must consider your own survival. He is not like Iron Man, nor is he like other superheroes with all kinds of abnormal abilities. He is just an ordinary person, a mortal who will die if he is shot. He doesn't have the magic weapon skills or blood system necessary to cross the party, only a huge industry and an unparalleled movie script. Before time travel, he loved to play Overwatch most. After time travel, he got the movie script of the Overwatch series. All he needs to do is to hand over the script to the company every 6 months. The company will use the most cutting-edge technology and invite the best actors to shoot a video. Half a year ago, Soldier 76, the transformational work of Overwatch Pictures, broke through 30 billion at the box office when it was released, and became popular all over the world. The starring Hank Black also became popular because of this film. Soldier 76 has become the most discussed movie character in the world, and has become a superhero in the hearts of countless people. He is truly a household name, but since the appearance of Iron Man, the popularity of Soldier 76 has been overtaken by him. After all, Soldier 76 is just a virtual character, and he can only be seen in the movies. Iron Man is a real superhero who can defend his home and country. Because Soldier 76 inches set a global box office record, Luo Ning enjoys a high reputation in the outside world. He is not only the CEO of Overwatch Films, but also a talented screenwriter. But in Luo Ning's eyes, these are nothing. When danger comes, money can't help you avoid harm. Only by being strong can you maintain the status of president, because I don't know how many pairs of eyes are watching somewhere. Stare at him. The conflict of interests is always the cause of putting oneself in danger. More than once, Luo Ning thought that he had not solved the mystery of Overwatch. Overwatch should not only appear on the screen, but should also appear in the Marvel world to fight against evil forces. The phone rang again from his assistant, Ms. Barrett. A strong woman in business can always take care of all affairs in an orderly manner. If it is not a particularly urgent matter, she will not call him a second time. "Hi, Lucy, is there anything urgent?" A sentence of fluent English came from a young man who didn't even know how many English letters there were. Luo Ning was stunned at first, but now he has fully adapted. He is not the young man named Luo Ning in that world, but the young president named Ronan in the Marvel world. "Mr. Luo Ning, please come to the company immediately." Mr. Stark came to the company to have a talk with you. He said he would only wait for 10 minutes. If you don't come, he will leave a special note for the company. Gift. Lucy spoke very fast, mixed with a man's voice, speaking even faster. 10 minutes. No, I'm only waiting for 5 minutes, no one dares to make me wait that long. After hanging up the phone, Luo Ning frowned slightly. What was the iron lump looking for him for? I kept contacting him yesterday, but he refused all of them. I didn't expect to go directly to his company today. I don't want to have anything to do with the well-known Iron Man, because his current strength is too small. There are only two endings with a superhero, either to be a qualified background board, or to be killed by the superhero's opponent. But since we've talked about this, let's go. Who knows what gift Stark will leave for the company. After leaving the villa, the black driver Thomas Oliver was already waiting outside. In front of this curvaceous black car, apart from knowing that the brand is Rolls-Royce, Ronan knew nothing about it. His hobby is playing games, otherwise he wouldn't have played Overwatch to the point of crossing. The highest state of playing games is to play yourself through time. A magnificent building no shorter than the Stark Tower stands in Manhattan, New York City. The Overwatch logo is shining brightly, and Overwatch stands out for Overwatch. Luo Ning looked up, and here was the Overwatch building, the headquarters of Overwatch Pictures. It's just that the main entrance is lost. Please make way, everyone, and don't block the door. When several security guards saw the boss coming, they hurriedly evacuated the reporters. These reporters heard the news from nowhere. Tony Stark entered the company, and a large number of reporters rushed to the company. It is also understandable that if Iron Man can be interviewed, the salary will increase a lot. Luo Ning walked over, and gathered many microphones in front of him. I knew that this scene would happen, because he is always in a hurry, and if the reporter can interview him, a young CEO who often stays at home, his salary should also be raised. I have to go in first, everyone cooperate. I think I will come out with Mr. Stark later, and when the time comes, wouldn't it be better for you to interview together? Luo Ning said earnestly. The security guards pushed those reporters away. Fortunately, these reporters were not bad in quality, so they all made way out of the way. Take the elevator up to the 18th floor, open the door, and see Stark in a suit and leather shoes sitting on the sofa with his legs crossed, humming a little song and watching the Soldier, 76 inches combat poster on the wall. Assistant Lucy Barrett sat on the high stool rather helplessly. Stark raised his arm and glanced at him, looked at him and said, Mr. Luo Ning, you are 3 minutes late. Luo Ning shrugged. Could it be that Mr. Iron Man is going to demolish my place? Stark grinned, got up and walked in front of him and stretched out his right hand. Of course not, this is your company after all. I just don't like waiting for people, you know, countless people want to meet me, and I want to wait for you in this boring place. Luo Ning shook his hand. Okay, since you're all here, I'll give you 10 minutes. I hope we can have a pleasant discussion during these 10 minutes. 7 minutes. Stark raised his eyebrows. It was the first time that someone restricted his talking time. This young CEO is a bit interesting. Lucy shook her head. When two conceited people meet, they really don't know what kind of sparks can be created. Okay, 10 minutes is 10 minutes, my purpose is very simple. Stark raised his chin at the wallpaper. Does Mr. Stark want to obtain the authorization of Overwatch Films, and then create a uniform of Soldier 76? If your purpose is this, I think we will have a more pleasant communication on the phone. Ronan said. Stark pouted. No, I'm not here for this, let's get straight to the point. I want you to write a script for me, about Iron Man. Soldier. 76 Feet is a perfect movie. Mr. Ronan is also the most famous screenwriter in the United States. I don't think anyone is better suited to write the script for Iron Man than you. If the Iron Man movie comes out, I think it will a movie no worse than Soldier, 76 Feet. Too lazy. Luo Ning suddenly uttered a sentence in Chinese. Not only Stark and Lucy were stunned, but even he didn't know what was going on. It seemed that this sentence came from the bottom of his heart, and there was no other sentence that could express him. Bad mood at this point. What? Stark looked confused. I'm very interested in Chinese recently. Luo Ning casually perfunctory. For Chinese culture, I only know Kung Fu. What did you mean by that sentence? Stark has always been very interested in novelty, whether it is technology or culture. After a moment of hesitation, Luo Ning said, "It means, very cool. It hurts to be idle, it hurts to be idle." Stark repeated it tirelessly, and the broken Chinese sounded quite special. "Yes, that's right, my idea is to be idle." Stark's eyes lit up slightly. "So, Mr. Luo Ning agreed. What's wrong with you, Mr. Luo Ning?" Ronan puffed up his cheeks and forced a smile. Stark thought he was going to cough up something. Taking a deep breath, he suppressed his smile, but the sparkle in the corner of his eyes betrayed him. "The idea is cool, but you know, our company changed its name to Overwatch Films, and we intend to only make Overwatch movies. Iron Man is not part of Overwatch, so sorry, there's nothing I can do about it." Luo Ning didn't want to reveal his secrets, and asked him to make an Iron Man movie. "What joke, can the written script be read? Maybe only elementary school students can watch it. From beginning to end, he is not the producer of the script, but the porter of the script. He doesn't have the confidence to surpass the passionate, heart-touching, and philosophical stories of Soldier 76, but if Iron Man likes simple and crude stories similar to Peppa Pig, Ronan think you should be able to do it if you work hard. I'm out $1 billion, just hope Mr. Ronan makes a movie for Iron Man with the quality of Soldier 76 feet." Stark's eyes were burning. He has been too boring recently. Since he was born, there have been fewer and fewer crimes around him, and the police can solve them. "When I was bored, I thought about becoming an actor and cultivating my own sentiment by the way. I don't think you understand what I mean. Overwatch Pictures will not make movies that have nothing to do with Overwatch. We don't lack money." Luo Ning glanced at his watch. "Mr. Stark, you took up 3 minutes more of me." Stark stretched out his hands and took a deep breath. "Give me a few more minutes, I probably understand what you mean. Now, you can call me that, Overwatch Iron Man." Lucy held up the cup and stood still in midair. She didn't expect Iron Man to sell herself to Overwatch Films so directly. "You must know that if Iron Man admits that he belongs to Overwatch, then Overwatch Pictures will be able to use this to make a lot of money. I think you should think about it carefully. This is equivalent to giving us the copyright of Iron Man. We can use Iron Man to do many things related to interests. Even you may have nothing to do with us." Luo Ning also didn't expect Stark to be so crazy, doing things extremely willfully, without considering the consequences at all. "Do you think that the world's top mechanics will not think carefully before doing things? As long as you don't use my image to do illegal things, I promise I won't trouble you. As for making money, it's up to you. And in Overwatch movie when the industry encounters difficulties, maybe because you have made movies for me, I will spare no effort to help you." Stark said slowly. "It is good." After thinking for a while, Luo Ning responded, "After Winston was released, I immediately drafted the script for Iron Man, but don't expect too much. Creation needs inspiration. When writing the script for Soldier 76 feet at that time, I seemed to be integrated into that world, and I could feel the desperation of the victims and the belief of Soldier 76, which is why I was able to complete such an excellent work. To be honest, I already have a preliminary idea, you just need to perfect it into an epic masterpiece." Stark took out the notebook, and Ronan read it through. Leaving aside the scribbled handwriting, it was a story of a hero fighting monsters and finally saving the world. Such a comparison is still interesting in Peppa Pig. He was actually asked to perfect such a simple storyline into an epic masterpiece. Luo Ning suddenly felt that the Tao of Shu was just like that. This is like giving you 2 bricks to build a palace, the difficulty can be imagined. "Well, Mr. Stark's idea is very novel. I will perfect it on this basis. I will show you the script I wrote. If you think it is good, then we will shoot according to the script." Luo Ning was under a lot of pressure, but he couldn't laugh or cry. "Then please, Winston, Premier, remember to tell me, Overwatch Iron Man, hope to watch this movie with Mr. Ronan." "No problem." Luo Ning got up and said, "Dear Miss Barron, thank you for your hospitality, see you next time." Before leaving, Stark did not forget to tease his assistant, which made Lucy very embarrassed, and could only nod and smile. Ronan walked out of the watchtower with Stark, and was immediately surrounded by dozens of reporters. "I'm Tony Stark, you may only remember my other identity, Iron Man. Tell you a breaking news. Iron Man has just joined Overwatch where Soldier 76 is located. The Iron Man movie will meet with you this year. It will be an epic masterpiece. After finishing speaking, Stark said goodbye to Ronan and got into the car, leaving the reporter with a dazed face. This guy is still as high profile as ever. Luo Ning complained in his heart. What did Tony Stark just say? Iron Man has joined Overwatch, that is to say, Iron Man has reached a cooperation with Overwatch Films, and will appear on the screen like Soldier 76 in the future. This news is too explosive. Well, Mr. Stark is right. I also want to share with you a piece of news. At the end of the month, Overwatch Films will release the second film in the Overwatch series, Winston, which is related to Citizen Soldier 76 by the way. Winston is a gorilla who is extremely intelligent but also full of primitive rage. When questioned by the reporter, Luo Ning had no choice but to admit that he broke the news about the new movie, Winston, in order to warm up the premiere and increase the popularity of the topic. The reporters screamed, and the security guards and passers-by took out their mobile phones to share the joy with their relatives and friends. They are all loyal fans of Overwatch. After half a year, a new movie will finally be released at the end of the month. How can we not be excited? The next day, major media reported on the meeting between Overwatch Pictures CEO Mr. Luo Ning and Tony Stark, 24 hours a day without interruption, and added fuel to the relationship between the two. What Iron Man is originally a member of Overwatch, what seemingly low-key Luo Ning is actually playing a big game, what is the ultimate truth behind Overwatch? Luo Ning really wanted to say something to these media and the editor, I am convinced of you. Isn't this pushing him into the fire pit? He just wants to stay at home safe and sound, and he doesn't want to get involved with any superheroes. The reason why he agreed to Stark to make a movie was entirely out of fear that Iron Man would not let him go and would bother him every day, but he knew that Stark was a person who would never give up until he reached his goal. He is also afraid that those who are secretly watching Overwatch Pictures will threaten his personal safety. To have a good relationship with Iron Man, from a pessimistic point of view, if he is in a desperate situation and has to ask Stark for help, Stark can stop talking nonsense and rush to help him immediately so that his purpose will be reached. Simple and pure. Putting aside these troubles, Luo Ning lay down in the game cabin and traveled in the mysterious ocean of games. Only here can he let go of everything and enjoy the happiness that is within reach. After a game trip, it was already evening. Luo Ning picked up his phone habitually and panicked when he saw it. An unfamiliar number called him no less than 100 times and sent him countless text messages. Click to open one to view. Dear Mr. Luo Ning, when you see this text message, your assistant, Miss Barrett, is already in my hands. Before 10 o'clock in the evening, I can guarantee her safety, but more maybe she won't die, but she may not want to live more than to die. See you at the deep sea bar. Remember, you are the only one coming. Immediately dialed Lucis' number, but a man's voice came from the other end of the phone. Mr. Luo Ning, I knew you would not ignore the beautiful Miss Barrett. Ah, did you hear that? That's her struggling. Beep, beep. The other party hung up the phone. Luo Ning glanced at the time. It was 8 o'clock in the evening, 2 hours before 10 o'clock. Luo Ning didn't know why the other party kidnapped his assistant. Maybe the other party found that only Lucy walked closest to him and thought it was his lover. Actually it wasn't, but Ronan had to go too. Because Lucy is not only his assistant, but also an adopted child of deceased parents. When her parents were still there, Lucy learned how to manage the company from her father. Now that his parents are gone, he traveled over to accept all of this. If it wasn't for Lucy's assistance, he wouldn't be able to deal with the chaotic company at all. In a sense, Lucy was his godsister. In reason, he should save her. These days, he couldn't find another assistant who he could trust completely and who had a thorough understanding of the operation system of Overwatch Films. However, if you go alone, isn't that sending you to death? Luo Ning thought of Stark, and he could ask Stark for help if it was impossible, and he also had a vague guess about the person who took Lucy away. There is nothing else, but because of the rise of Overwatch Films, it has encroached on the interests of other companies. Now, the rabbit bites. If you take a step back, you may see a brighter future. Go to the deep sea bar. Sitting in the co-pilot, Luo Ning told the driver Thomas that the latter was in a daze. He knew his boss too well, and he never went out unless there was something urgent. Pass through the suburbs, and then to the bustling urban area. After 10 minutes, you will arrive at the deep sea bar. Luo Ning got out of the car and explained to Thomas, if I don't call you within an hour, you can call this number and say that I have helped him draw up the first draft of the script, and now I am at the deep sea bar, let him give you the fastest possible time. Arrive, if you don't see anyone for 3 minutes, then the previous agreement will be void. Seeing his blank face, Luo Ning asked again, do you remember? Thomas nodded. Tell me that again. When it comes to his wealth and life, Luo Ning dare not be careless. Thomas recited it completely, as if reciting a text. Luo Ning nodded, and said with some depression, hurry up and drive away, I allow you to go to the nightclub to have fun tonight. Hearing this, Thomas was not happy, but felt a chill down his spine, always feeling that something was about to happen. In the end, he left. Although the boss likes to stay at home, he is still very smart. Otherwise, it would be impossible to manage such a large company in an orderly manner, let alone create such an excellent movie script. Luo Ning would not tell him all the company's affairs, except for some matters that the CEO must come forward, Ms. Berendt will take care of them, which makes people feel too unreliable. Looking at the deep sea bar, which was specially created to look like an ocean, Luo Ning couldn't feel the slightest sense of beauty from it, but felt uneasy. What should come will always come, but I didn't expect it to come so soon. As soon as he entered, there were countless pairs of eyes staring at him. Logically speaking, shouldn't someone exclaim Mr. Luo Ning at this time? But no, there was no admiration in these eyes, only vigilance. The only normal ones are the waiters, but there is no joy or anger on their faces, they walk around like emotionless machines, serving the guests. Luo Ning suddenly regretted coming here. Mr. Ronan. Following the prestige, a bald man in a suit and leather shoes was sitting there. No matter what happens, I can only bite the bullet at this moment. Mr. Luo Ning, it is a great honor to meet you here. The voice was a little familiar, but Luo Ning really couldn't remember who it was, because there were too many people he had talked with on the phone. Luo Ning sat down slowly and shook that hand politely, where is Lucy? Compared to this, I think what we are going to talk about next is more important. Mr. Luo Ning, do you need to think about who I am first? We communicated on the phone, although it was only 10 seconds. Sorry, there are too many people calling me. Luo Ning spread his hands. It seems that I'm still too small, so small that Mr. Luo Ning didn't even remember me. Now you've made me remember you successfully, sir, said Ronan. Okay, let me introduce myself. My name is Spark Charlie, the CEO of Feixiang Film Company. In this capacity, I think I am qualified to have a drink with you. The bald man took a sip of red wine, enjoying. Tisk, the 82-year-old Lafite has a mellow taste. Don't you want to try it, Mr. Luo Ning? The bar was full of colorful drinks. Luo Ning shook his head. Alcohol is not my thing, I like to drink tea, but it seems that there is no tea here, so let's talk about business. Actually, if you were willing to see me last time, or negotiated on the phone, Ms. Berendt wouldn't disappear, so why bother Mr. Ronan? Charlie said with a smile. If you came here just to chat with me, I don't think you need to do that. Luo Ning said impatiently. Hee. Mr. Luo Ning is as straightforward as ever. Well, it's the same thing I talked to you last time, but with a slight change. Flying Films and Watch Films have reached a lifetime cooperation. The film copyrights of the two companies in addition, I will also become a member of the board of directors of Overwatch Films and enjoy 12% of the shares of Overwatch Films. Charlie took out a stack of documents from his briefcase. You just need to sign these documents. The corner of Luo Ning's mouth slightly raised. Do you think this is possible? Even I only own 8% of the company's shares, but you want 12%. It wasn't possible before, but it's not necessarily so now. Charlie beckoned, and two heavily armed men escorted Lucy out. At first I just wanted to cooperate with you and share the copyright of the film, but you rejected it time and time again. If I was in a hurry, I would go to the wall, let alone me, a lion. Charlie put away his smile and held out 3 fingers. I'll give you 3 minutes to think about it. Agree, we're partners. No, you two can't leave the bar alive. The door of the bar was closed, all the waiters hid in the room, and the customers around all took out their guns from their waists. Just when Luo Ning was about to compromise, an electronic voice suddenly sounded in his mind. The global movie fans' belief in Soldier 76 has reached 8,000 million, and Soldier 76's transformation has been activated. Falling into a desperate mood, it is like resurgent, glowing with infinite vitality. Goldfinger, is it finally online? Tried all methods, such as, change for me, transform into Soldier 76, start super transformation form, and other passwords, all of which could not trigger the form change. Do you have to shout out with your voice? So secondary. Luo Ning looked around. Countless pairs of eyes were staring at him. The eyes were not scary. What was scary was the guns in their hands. Would shouting like this frighten them and knock him out? After much deliberation, I decided to keep a low profile. Mr. Luo Ning, you still have 1 minute. Charlie reminded. Luo Ning silently recited all kinds of passwords, but it was useless. But when he found out, a look of shock slowly climbed onto Charlie's face. In the next moment, Luo Ning felt that his body was filled with endless power, and a blue, white and black rifle appeared out of thin air in his hand. It's not an ordinary rifle, but a heavy-duty pulse rifle, and what it shoots is not an ordinary bullet, but an energy bullet, which is extremely lethal. Looking down, the gray sportswear has changed into a blue and white combat uniform. I don't know if his appearance has changed. He just feels that there is an extra mask on his face, and there is an extra tactical eyepiece in front of him. The vision is clear. All the people around stared at him in disbelief, forgetting their duties for a moment. It's not surprising that when a character in a movie appears in front of you unexpectedly, any individual will be stunned. Hey, I think, you will never be a lion, you are only worthy of being a dog that jumps over the wall with eager eyes. After Ronan finished speaking, he raised his pulse rifle. Charlie finally came back to his senses. His fear was evident. Kill him. Before he took out his pistol, 3 light blue energy bullets had penetrated his chest, and he had a hellish expression until he died. Luo Ning shot at the surroundings. He had never fired a gun before, and it was the first time he felt the thrill of shooting, and he had a superb shooting talent. Either he shot through the heart or headshot. One shot would kill him. The sound of the bottle being shot resounded through the bar, and the broken glass shards flew around. The people under Charlie didn't fire a single shot, and they all fell into a pool of blood. Like Charlie, they all had ghost faces. The 2 armed men beside Lucy were also shot and fell down, leaving light blue bullet holes in their body armor. The energy bullets fired by the pulse rifle cannot be blocked by body armor. Lucy knelt down with her head in her arms, panicked. Luo Ning put down the biological force field, and a soft light yellow light emerged, and the skin on Lucy's body that was scratched by glass shards slowly healed. Then he quickly released the transformation form and returned to his original appearance. Lucy, it's all right. Ronan held out his hand to her. Lucy looked up at him, her face full of doubts, and she rubbed her eyes, thinking that she had been delusional just now. I wish I was blindsided, but this doesn't make any sense. What happened to the person who was lying in a pool of blood? She knew her boss so well that she couldn't even hold her gun steady, so how could she shoot and kill all the mercenaries in an instant? There is only one possibility. Ronan is Soldier 76, and he hid this appalling fact from the world. Either way, she needs a shoulder right now. A police car drove up, and several policemen walked in with guns. They couldn't help but tremble when they saw the corpses all over the ground. Lay down your weapon. As soon as the police finished speaking, they saw a man and a woman embracing each other. They didn't have any guns in their hands. What's the situation? Luo Ning gently pushed Lucy away, and said to her, I think we have to go to the police station for tea. Who are you and why did you appear at the crime scene? Said the leading police officer. Luo Ning raised his hands and faced them calmly. I am Luo Ning, you may only remember my son, Soldier 76, this is my assistant, Miss Barrett. Mr. Ronan. The police officer signaled his subordinates to put down their guns, and said eagerly, why are you here? There was a serious gun battle here just now. Everyone around was dead, and the unarmed Luo Ning and this seemingly harmless lady were unscathed. Could it be that they killed so many gangsters? Such an explanation is illogical and no one will believe it. Outside the bar, a boy exclaimed to his friends, my God. Guess what I saw just now? Soldier 76 was in that bar, and Bubu killed the bad guys with a few blows. The boy was wearing a jacket of the same style as Soldier 76, and he was gesticulating with a gun, obviously a fanatical little fan. Manhattan District Police Department. Luo Ning sat on a chair for interrogation. The little policeman brought him a cup of steaming coffee. He declined. I don't drink coffee. Hot tea is best. If you don't have it, forget it, thank you. Yes, Mr. Luo Ning, I will prepare it for you now. The little policeman seemed to be happy to serve him, but it was troublesome to take the coffee back, so he handed the coffee to Lucy. This lady likes coffee, right? Lucy readily accepted. Mr. Luo Ning, can you tell me in detail what happened in the deep-sea bar? Sergeant Jeffrey said. Happy to help. As for me, I was chatting with Miss Brent in the deep-sea bar. I never thought that the bar would be controlled by Charlie, and then Charlie threatened me with Miss Brent's life and forced me to cooperate with him. You also know that Spark Charlie is the CEO of Flying Films, and Overwatch Films now occupies a large film market, and has no intention of infringing on his interests, so he planned this scene, and everything is under his control. It's under control, but something went wrong halfway. And then, Sergeant Jeffrey saw him stop, so he asked, Charlie and the killer he hired, how did you solve it? You may not believe it when you say it, but it is the truth. Thank you. The little policeman brought him hot tea. Luo Ning took it and thanked him, took a sip, and breathed out comfortably. It feels very comfortable to drink tea, just like going home. Sergeant Jeffrey doesn't care if the tea is good or not, he only wants to see the scene of the crime. Mr. Luo Ning, please continue. The answer could have been found out through the surveillance video, but Charlie removed all the surveillance in the bar. Before committing the crime, he was well prepared, but he didn't expect that he would be the one who got hurt in the end. I think you should have checked the body. The bullets have penetrated the body armor. As far as I know, most of the firearms can't penetrate the body armor. This shows that the weapons used by this person are very advanced, and the forces behind them must be powerful. Maybe not of Earth. Secondly, guns are deadly. Every dead person has only one bullet hole. If it is not cool enough, the bullet hole on the corpse will show a little blue light. It is either a headshot or a shot through the heart. This shows that this person has superb marksmanship, professionally trained to be called a sharpshooter. In the end, he only killed the people who threatened me, and did not hurt civilians. He helped me remove the threat and left quickly without saying a word. This shows that this person follows the code of conduct of promoting good and eliminating evil, and has nowhere. He only shows up when needed, which shows that he has a keen sense of danger. The analysis was clear, but Sergeant Jeffrey was confused. He picked up the photos of the scene and looked at them carefully. Every detail was exactly as Luo Ning said. I asked the subordinates who rushed to the scene, and they all nodded, expressing their deep agreement with what Luo Ning said. So, who is the one who saved you? Before Luo Ning could open his mouth, the little policeman who stood beside him rushed to answer. According to Mr. Luo Ning's description, isn't it just Soldier 76 of Overwatch? The style of acting is completely consistent, and it perfectly fits the setting of Soldier 76. Sergeant Jeffrey glared at him, and the little policeman was so frightened that he didn't dare to say more. Mr. Luo Ning, I want you to tell me. You may not believe it when you say it, but the fact is like this. Luo Ning shrugged, pulled the corner of his mouth, wanted to laugh but didn't dare to. After the interrogation, a cup of hot tea was drained, and Luo Ning and Lucy left the police station. They had no guns and ammunition on them, and there was no evidence to prove that they killed those people. Everything that happened in the deep-sea bar was blamed on Soldier 76. Sheriff Jeffrey didn't believe it at all, but that seemed the only way to explain it. However, a movie character came to the real world to maintain world peace. I would rather believe that those people committed mass suicide than believe that Soldier 76 would run out of the movie, unless he died on a living dog for most of his life. I had no choice but to put this case down first, and deal with it later when there are clues. Sergeant Jeffrey, should I give them a ride? Mr. Ronan is in a bad situation. Going out with Ms. Barrett alone may cause accidents. The little policeman said. Sergeant Jeffrey thought for a while, then nodded, go. Just as Luo Ning was about to call Thomas, a whistle sounded from behind him. Looking back, He saw a bright smiling face in the car window. "Mr. Luo Ning, I will give you a ride. The road is not safe." It's that enthusiastic little policeman. Luo Ning didn't refuse. It was indeed safer to ride in a police car, and he didn't know what Thomas was doing at this time. When he reported Thomas's safety just now, he seemed to hear the explosive DJ dance music. "Mr. Ronan, my name is Henry Wagner, and I am the #1 fan of Overwatch." "Hello, Officer Wagner," Ronan said politely. "Just call me Henry. Do you know Mr. Ronan? I really like Soldier 76. When I was a child, I often dreamed that I would transform into such a superhero and put it on the screen. In the theater, I felt like I was there. This environment has completely fulfilled my dream." Henry spoke excitedly while driving. Originally, he thought that it would be impossible for him to have a conversation with Mr. Luo Ning in his whole life, but he did not expect to use this opportunity to ride with him in the same car. He loves Overwatch and Soldier 76, so he has infinite respect for Mr. Luo Ning. "My honor," Ronan smiled. "Winston" has been filmed and is currently in the post-editing stage. It will be released at the end of the month. If you have time, I can give you a small role in the next movie. If there are no mistakes, the next movie will be released. It's Iron Man. Really, that's great. Henry dreamed of appearing in the Overwatch series of movies. Even if there was only one back view, it would be worth it. It would be great to have an Iron Man movie with Mr. Stark. Suddenly, with a sudden brake, Luo Ning almost hit the back of the front seat. "Drive well, the next movie is still early, I will contact you then." "I'm sorry, Mr. Ronan." Henry calmed down a little, and concentrated on driving. Although he was still very excited, he would not drive the car behind the rear of the car in front as he did just now. Along the way, Lucy bit her finger, except that she raised her head abruptly just now, then lowered her head and didn't say a word. "Lucy, you should get out of the car." Luo Ning patted her shoulder lightly. Lucy was slightly dazed, then picked up her purse, thanked Henry and got out of the car. After closing the car door, Lucy looked at Luo Ning and said softly, "Mr. Luo Ning, you may have a sleepless night tonight. My bed is very big." Luo Ning answered rudely. Lucy gave him a blank look, turned and left without saying anything. Henry showed a meaningful smile, and Ronan could still see the corners of his mouth slightly raised while sitting in the back, coughed lightly and said, "Don't think about it, I have nothing to do with her, this is just a verbal code between us." "I understand, Mr. Ronan." He didn't expect such a great entrepreneur and screenwriter to speak so humorously. When we got home, Luo Ning got out of the driveway. "It's not as uncomfortable to sit in a police car as I imagined. Mr. Luo Ning is welcome to come to the police station for tea often, and a special car will pick you up." Henry patted the steering wheel. Luo Ning waved his hand. "Forget it, I'm a good citizen of society." As soon as she lay down on the bed, the phone rang, and she knew it was from Lucy without looking at it. She was still worried about what happened in the bar. "Hey, Lucy, it's late, can you go to bed early? Luo Ning is really sleepy. I don't know if it's because the transformation consumes too much energy or something. In short, he just wants to lie on the bed right now, and doesn't want to do anything. Mr. Luo Ning, tell me, what I saw in the bar is not real." The voiceover there was very anxious. "Well, not really," Ronan said perfunctorily. "This is not the answer I want. Although you are my boss and boss, for your sake, I need you to tell the truth." Lucy spoke very fast, and her tone of voice changed with the ups and downs of her mood. "Oh, woman." Luo Ning is so speechless. Isn't it true that he told her what happened in the bar? Follow her, why is not the answer she wants? Feminine heart, see needle. For my sake, you should hang up the phone and let me sleep. I'm sleepy. Luo Ning yawned, not pretending, but really sleepy. How will I deal with the reporters tomorrow? What happened at the deep sea bar tonight will definitely be on the news. Lucy's words revealed helplessness. Charlie took her away. She was very scared, but she knew that Ronan would come to rescue her. However, she was even more scared now, because she only now found out that she had always been to her boss. I don't know. Luo Ning seems to have a shocking secret, hiding it from her, from the company, from everyone, and even from the whole world. As I said at the police station, all this is Charlie's responsibility and has nothing to do with us. Luo Ning rubbed his brows. What about you? What is the relationship between you and Soldier 76? Lucy asked. Maybe you can treat Soldier 76 as my son, and he will come out to protect me when I am in danger. Luo Ning said impatiently. Okay Lucy, you will know the answer someday, but not now. Luo Ning hung up the phone, turned off the phone and threw it aside. The less people know about transforming into Soldier 76, the better. Every time more people know, his situation will be more dangerous. Paper can't wrap fire, but it can make the flames exposed later. If he admits this identity, S.H.I.E.L.D. will definitely visit here frequently. He just wants to be a salted fish president, and he doesn't want to have anything to do with the crazy, cool, and bombarding S.H.I.E.L.D. I slept until dawn, got up and turned on the TV, and the news was flying everywhere. Yesterday at 9 o'clock in the evening, a serious shooting occurred at the Deep Sea Bar in Manhattan, New York City. In fact, the CEO of Flying Films, Spark Charlie, forced Overwatch Pictures to cooperate with him. As a result, he was shot and killed by mysterious people. Fortunately, Overwatch Pictures CEO Ronan and his assistants were not harmed. According to the deduction of the local police station, this mysterious person is likely to be the character Soldier 76 who is active in the movie. This sounds incredible, and the local police station also has reservations about this inference, and the follow-up investigation is still in progress. In this regard, we found a little boy who witnessed the scene and listened to what he had to say. The scene was cut from the supporter to the boy, who excitedly took the microphone and said, I saw Soldier 76 at the bar, holding a pulse rifle pew and killing the bad guys with a few shots. Finally, the police car came, and I was brought to the police uncle. Went to safe place, Soldier 76 is no longer in sight. Luo Ning pursed his lips and smiled helplessly. Little friend, you won. What happened last night pushed him to the forefront, from an unknown CEO to a well-known man who has nothing to do with Soldier 76. The matter has come to this point, and I have not recovered from the excitement of transforming into Soldier 76, so I have to think of countermeasures for the various things that will happen next. These days, it's not even easy to be a salted fish. After a glass of milk and 2 pieces of bread, Luo Ning slumped on the sofa, like, Jie Yu lying. Outside, he needs to maintain the dignified image of the president, but at home, he can do whatever he wants. The happiest thing is playing games, and watching movies while eating instant noodles is also good. But he is not in the mood to play games now. He has to get over the lie of Soldier 76, otherwise he will expose this lie one day. He doesn't have the courage of Stark to openly reveal his identity as Iron Man. After thinking about it, I had a flash of inspiration. After dialing the driver's phone, 10 minutes later, a whistle sounded outside the villa. Thomas is his personal driver, always on call. No matter what he is doing, he has to come immediately after receiving a call from his boss. 10,880 Malibu Street. ? Thomas has a black ? What the hell is this place? Didn't ask much. He is a full-time driver and has strict professional ethics. He is not qualified to ask the boss what he does. If he had the qualification, he would ask the boss until his scalp tingled. He could ask about the incident at the bar last night, a whole day. Navigate to 10,880 Malibu Street and drive there. Arriving at the destination, Thomas couldn't help exclaiming, wow, what a spectacular sea view villa. I thought my boss was already extravagant, but when I saw this villa, I realized that my boss was low-key enough. Follow me. Ronan got out of the car and walked over, dialing Tony's phone. Hello. Mr. Stark, I'm Ronan, and I'm at your door right now. ? Stark, who was tinkering with the machinery, immediately froze in place when he heard this, and then said to himself with a puzzled face, what? My door. Recalling the last conversation with Luo Ning in the watchtower, it seems that he did not tell him the address, which is strange. Could it be that Mr. Luo Ning has some kind of strange power? When he saw Luo Ning and a black man standing outside, he was in a daze. He opened the door to let the two of them in, and then asked, Mr. Luo Ning, how did you know my address? One day, everyone will know about this place. Luo Ning smiled. Tony Stark dressed casually at home, with a black t-shirt, jeans, and a crystal blue reactor on his chest that stood out, but outside, he was wearing a suit and leather shoes. He is different, he always wears simple sportswear, and he doesn't care about the eyes of the outside world. In fact, he still cared, otherwise he might make some confusing behaviors in public. Mr. Luo Ning wants to publish my home address. Stark didn't understand why Mr. Ronan did this, and what good was it for him. Stark obviously misunderstood the meaning of the words, and Ronan hurriedly said, I won't do such a stupid thing, your address will come out of your own mouth. That's impossible, absolutely impossible, I don't want to be disturbed. Stark said firmly. Aren't you going to buy me a cup of tea? Come in and have a sit. Luo Ning smiled. Stark made a gesture of please, then poured 2 cups of tea. This is my driver. Thomas held out his hand and said, Hello, Mr. Stark, I've known you for a long time. I'm Thomas Oliver, Mr. Ronan's full-time driver. Hello. Stark shook hands, and then sat opposite Ronan. So, Mr. Ronan came over suddenly, did he come to talk to me about the script? Speaking of which, do you think the story I wrote about Iron Man, how about it? Thinking of asking him for help next time, Luo Ning said against his conscience, Mr. Stark is very talented. He is not only the world's top mechanic, but also has a great literary talent. Although the story you wrote is short, it looks very good. The story fluid and full of rhythm, when it is perfected, I think it will definitely be an epic masterpiece. Everyone likes to hear compliments, and Tony Stark is no exception. The corner of Stark's mouth raised a smug arc. He didn't care if others praised him, but the person sitting in front of him was a world-renowned genius screenwriter. This praise came from Luo Ning's mouth, which can be described as not light. At this moment, Luo Ning changed the subject, but I'm not here to discuss the script, but to seek your help. Tell me the story. As a partner, Stark is still willing to help. This is related to the quality of Iron Man's movie. With this help, maybe Mr. Ronan can create the script more carefully instead of perfunctory. By the way, Mr. Luo Ning, the news is all about what happened last night. Many people speculate that you are the incarnation of Soldier 76. Stark turned on the TV, and as expected, any channel was full of news about the shooting at the deep-sea bar. These reporters just want to create topics, and they always expect big things to happen, so that they have enough interview resources. Luo Ning was a little annoyed. I wholeheartedly agree with that. Stark nodded, and he was often annoyed by reporters. Okay, let's not talk about that, I want you to help me build a pulse rifle. Luo Ning got straight to the point, he didn't like to make detours. Stark frowned. Pulse rifle, the one used by Soldier 76. That's right, and then tailor a set of Soldier 76's combat uniform for him. Ronan pointed at Thomas. Thomas opened his mouth slightly, pointed at himself with his thumb, with a dazed look on his face. Stark squinted his eyes. It's not difficult, but the pulse rifle, it is difficult to shoot light blue bullets like in the movie, and the penetration is definitely not as good as in the movie, but I will do my best to do it realistically so that the public can't tell the difference. At this moment, he seemed to understand what Ronan wanted to do. To confuse the public with false ones. And this made him even more convinced that Luo Ning was Soldier 76. That's enough. Ronan's purpose is not to create Soldier 76 in the Marvel world, but to divert everyone's attention from him to Thomas. In this way, he can get rid of the public's gaze, and still be a salted fish president as before, and he is very satisfied playing games every day. What material is the uniform made of? Anyway, don't need iron lumps, ordinary materials are fine, tougher, more comfortable to wear, and breathable for sure, so as not to be suffocated in summer. Luo Ning said with a smile. Are you disliking my Mark IV? Stark curled his lips, a little dissatisfied. When will we come to make gestures? Luo Ning's eyelids jumped. It seemed that Stark had confirmed his identity, but he believed that Stark would not betray him. Stark may be high profile and conceited, but he will never do anything that goes against common sense. So he wasn't that worried. As for Thomas, who loves going to nightclubs, there is no need to worry. When Thomas was almost overwhelmed by life, it was him who gave him a decent job, and now he is living a chic life, and he is absolutely loyal to him, and he doesn't talk nonsense when he goes out, and he never what? My small arms and legs are no match for Iron Man. Ronan joked. Turning into Soldier 76 may have the power to fight Iron Man, but whether the bullets fired by the heavy pulse rifle can penetrate the Mark IV is really unknown. Thomas was dazed until the end, and it took him a long time to realize. Is this the rhythm of becoming a superhero? Punishing evil and promoting good, punishing rape and eradicating evil, heroes saving beauty, going to heaven and earth, omnipotent. All kinds of plots were imagining, and then they were ruthlessly interrupted by Luo Ning. Hey, Thomas, let's go, do you want to stay here for the night? Sorry, Mr. Ronan. Thomas ran out quickly, got in the car and turned on the air conditioner. Before leaving, Luo Ning said to Stark, Mr. Stark, I will finish the script within a month, and I will show it to you when the time comes, and I will definitely not disappoint you. I am looking forward. Stark watched him get in the car and leave, and after a while, he drew a sketch according to the appearance of the pulse rifle in Soldier 76. Thinking that Iron Man will appear on the screen in the future, I am full of energy. The desk, the floor, and the corners were covered with balls of paper, and the entire study room was filled with a sea of white. Luo Ning thought that he didn't have the habit of throwing garbage, but he was going crazy these days, and his head was about to explode after writing the script. When I was not satisfied with the writing, I crumpled it into a paper ball and threw it away. At first, I threw it into the trash can, but I didn't want to change it until the trash can was full, so I just threw it out, not to mention it was quite cool. Luo Ning felt that he was also a young man of literature and art. He had read a lot of books before time traveling. Although all he read were online novels, they were not nutritious, but it was cool. A hard-working program ape drags his tired body back home, his head is almost numb, how can he have leisure time to read literary works full of philosophy of life, and online novels can relax and obtain spiritual satisfaction, why not? After reading so many online novels, many of the author's usual routines are easy to come by. The common templates are the beginning of the game, the death of both parents, being suppressed, cheating on the line, pretending to be bullying and slapping the face. That's all back and forth, but writing scripts is different from web novels. He tried to combine many common routines of online novels, but found that what he wrote was so unreadable that even he himself couldn't stand it, let alone the majority of movie fans. Hundreds of waste manuscripts are enough to prove that he really has no creative talent, at best he can be regarded as a literary dick. Occasionally write a slightly literary non-mainstream statement, such as, look up at the sky at a 45-degree angle, if you love, please love deeply, if you don't love, please go away, etc., you will be complacent about it. All right, recognizing his level, Luo Ning made a difficult decision to plagiarize the original. He didn't want to do this kind of thing that didn't want billion. It was really helpless. Who told him that he didn't even have a little creative talent? What he wrote was no different from a journal, and it was actually on par with the childish script provided by Stark. It's a pity that he laughed at Stark's script that was not as exciting as Peppa Pig. Now it seems that Peppa Pig can also be called a masterpiece. For a world-renowned screenwriter, this is simply a naked humiliation. The script seems to be 30 compositions for primary school students. Those who see it are sad, and those who hear it cry. After reading it, the director may even suspect that he hired a screenwriter with a primary school level. Luo Ning admits that his creative level is very poor. In this case, the plagiarism of the original work is a certainty, and no one can change it. Soldier 76 inches has exploded in word of mouth, and the box office of Iron Man, released on the Earth, is not low. Iron Man saved Marvel from the fire and water. Therefore, plagiarizing the original work is absolutely right, even if it does not reach the achievement of Soldier 76, the difference will not be too much, at least it will not be suspected that he hired someone to write the script. Just do it, first go through the plot of Iron Man in your mind. For a Marvel fan who once argued with his roommate for 2 hours about the relationship between the Hulk and Dr. Banner, don't wonder if he remembers the plot. For him, the plot of each movie is familiar by heart, so when he finishes the plot, he writes with spirit and his thoughts flow like a spring. The feeling of constipation that had been suffocated for a few hours just now has been swept away, and now it is as smooth as silk. In order to keep his mind clear, he turned off his phone. At this time, any sound is a kind of disturbance to him, especially footsteps. Go out. 2 words, let Thomas's right foot hang in the air. He turned around and walked out, very helpless. He finally came to find the boss once, but was rejected by the boss. I just want to ask the boss, what exactly do you want to ask Mr. Stark to customize the Soldier 76 combat uniform for him? This question has troubled him for several days, but today he plucked up the courage to ask. Unexpectedly, he received cold eyes from the boss, who didn't even bother to raise his head. I regret it very much. Will it leave a bad impression on the boss, so that he can't be a Soldier 76? All kinds of thoughts messed his head into a mess. Thomas, I haven't seen you for a few days. It seems that you have become taller again. Lucy came with a purse and smiled. Thomas shuddered, then scratched his head in embarrassment. I'm sorry, Miss Brent, I was thinking about something just now. Mr. Ronan seemed very irritable. He was in the study. There were balls of waste paper all over the floor. I don't know what he was doing. Lucy nodded, guessing that Ronan might be writing the Iron Man script for Tony Stark. Get out. How many times do I have to say that? Luo Ning writes furiously. While the inspiration is still there, he wished to write faster. He has already exploded the hand speed of being single for more than years, but he still can't satisfy him. The speed of the hand cannot keep up with the speed of the brain. This is the first time in his life that he realized the importance of the speed of the hand, because the speed of the brain cannot keep up with the speed of the hand when typing codes. Wow, Luo Ning felt that his position had been challenged. The driver refused to listen to the boss and even dared to knock on the door when he asked him to go out. Deduct salary. Didn't run away. If you don't deduct your salary, you will curse yourself to become a cute girl for the rest of your life. Guang guang guang. Wow, Thomas, your wings are stiff. Luo Ning looked up, but saw a beautiful lady with a graceful figure. A small suit on the upper body, a short skirt on the lower body, and a pair of black high heels. Lucy, why are you here? Didn't I tell you what happened last time? One day you will understand, but now is not the time. Luo Ning was inexplicably irritable. Lucy tried her best to keep her calm. Mr. Luo Ning, I didn't come here for that matter. The new International Film Summit will be held next weekend, because Soldier 76 Feet filmed by Overwatch Films is very popular in the global film market. You have been successful, so international filmmakers hope that you can participate in the summit as a special guest. Don't go. Luo Ning blurted out that he hated participating in this kind of public meeting the most. It was a waste of time playing games, listening to music and watching movies. Mr. Luo Ning, it doesn't matter if you don't go to those previous conferences, but the International Film Summit is the world's top filmmaker gathering conference. Many well-known directors and group CEOs will go there. You must fulfill your obligations as the CEO of Overwatch Films, because it is related to the future development of Overwatch Films, and you must know that many film companies are not even qualified to enter. Just let Director Hopkins go. Luo Ning said lazily. Director Hopkins has not only filmed Soldier 76 Feet, many well-known works have come from Director Hopkins. He cannot represent us watch films. Lucy had expected that persuading him would be as difficult as doing push-ups with one hand, but she didn't expect it to be this difficult. How about you go, Mr. Ronan? Lucy's decibel suddenly increased a lot, and Luo Ning knew that this was a sign that she was about to be driven crazy by him. Okay, I'll go. Luo Ning also knew that the International Film Summit was very prestigious. Before Overwatch Films made Soldier 76, they didn't even have the qualifications to enter. Those who could enter were all industry leaders. Naturally, the leading bosses in the film industry Circle City Films. When filming Soldier 76 inches last year, Overwatch Films was short of funds, so it turned to many film companies for help, and Universal Films was one of them, but they were all rejected mercilessly. I had no choice but to take out a loan, but the interest rate was frighteningly high. Fortunately, Soldier 76 inches was successfully filmed, and the profits were huge. Not to mention paying off the loan, it also allowed a little-known film company to become one of the super film companies. Most of the reason why he didn't want to go was because he didn't want to see the ugly faces of those people. If you go, it's really nothing. Maybe it can make those people understand how stupid the decision they made at the beginning is. The film company they used to disdain to cooperate with has now stepped ahead of them and become the guiding light of a new generation of commercial films. Ronan grabbed the tie with disgust on his face, wishing he could tear it off. It was too uncomfortable. Wearing the tie feels like hanging himself. Maybe he is the only one in the entire Marvel world. It's better to relax a little. Lucy pursed her lips and said with some dissatisfaction, Mr. Luo Ning, do you want to wear your tie as a scarf? The tie was loose to the chest. Luo Ning loosened the tie and threw it on the bed, saying nonchalantly, I think a tie can be worn, but it's not necessary. As a programmer, I used to wear whatever I wanted to work in meetings, and I would never wear a suit once a year. Now, it's okay to turn over and become the president, and it's fine to wear a suit and leather shoes, but I'm forced to wear a tie. What a husky. Mr. Luo Ning, please pay attention to your public image. You represent Overwatch Films, and the International Film Summit will be attended by major media. Lucy is quite helpless. The boss is horribly loose and does things too freely. I wear this. Luo Ning took out a black bow tie from the exquisite wooden box. Mr. Luo Ning, this summit is an international film event. Wearing a bow tie is not formal enough. Usually, bow ties are worn at banquets and dances. Lucy held her forehead. She was about to be mad by the boss. I am me, a firework of a different color. Luo Ning put on the bow tie happily. Although it was a bit strangled, it was much more comfortable than a tie, and it looked beautiful. My God, Lucy was speechless, so she simply ignored it. Anyway, she was not the one who lost face at the summit. Luo Ning turned around in front of the mirror angrily, quite satisfied with the current attire. The original ordinary face seemed to have been sublimated a lot. In fact, the appearance does not matter much, the victory lies in the connotation. Mr. Luo Ning, where is your speech? I will help you get it. Lucy said. Speech. Luo Ning grinned, if it doesn't exist, I'll do it on the spot. Lucy took a deep breath, trying to calm herself down. In the past, she just thought that he didn't like work and needed more time to create scripts, so she took care of all the company's affairs, so she didn't have anything to complain about, but until today, she discovered that the boss is so not reliable. Do everything according to your own temperament, without considering the consequences at all. Sitting in the car, Lucy was very worried that Luo Ning would say something wrong at the summit and give a speech without a script. She had every reason to believe that he would let himself go and say whatever he wanted. If you offend the big names in the industry, it will be troublesome. Mr. Luo Ning, while you are on your way, I think you should think about what to say later. As a special guest, you must speak in public. Lucy turned her head sideways and looked at Ronan, who was resting with his eyes closed. Luo Ning didn't even open his eyes, and lazily said, I know Lucy, I've decided what to say. Lucy turned her head abruptly, and didn't say anything more. Anyway, her kindness was regarded by the boss as a donkey liver and lungs. The International Film Summit was held in Manhattan, the busiest district in New York City, not far away. Under the smooth and fast driving of Thomas, an old driver, the sports car arrived in 10 minutes. Brilliant Star is the specific location of the summit. It is a large square full of cultural atmosphere. At this time, the lights are shining, and countless large screens are standing, playing the highlights of popular movies. Wow, Thomas exclaimed. The parking lot is full of luxury cars, such as Ferraris, Lamborghinis, and Aston Martins. Just put them here as if they don't want money, full of style. As soon as the car stopped, Luo Ning woke up, rubbed his eyes and looked around. Everything was blurry, the only feeling was that it was bright, and he felt countless lights shining on him. Numerous security guards walked back and forth, communicating with each other using walkie-talkies, and reporting the situation to the headquarters in real time. Mr. Luo Ning, hello. On the way to the summit site, people greeted him and shook hands from time to time. Even if he didn't know each other, Luo Ning responded one by one. Basic courtesy is still required. The teacher taught him to be a good boy who is polite and civilized since he was a child. Back then, he was also a good student with excellent academic performance. When entering important places, security guards will check whether the people entering and leaving are carrying guns or controlled knives, and an invitation letter is required to enter the Bowen Hall where the summit is held. An invitation letter corresponds to a person, and real name registration is required. So many precautions are taken to ensure the safety of the participants. After all, those who can participate in this level of conference are all well-known figures in the international film circle, and their net worth is measured in billions, and even a hair is not enough. If anyone has any accident, they will not have an easy life in the future. Mr. Luo Ning, go in, we'll wait for you outside. Lucy straightened Luo Ning's crooked bow tie and said softly, "Wish me luck." Luo Ning smiled slightly, handed the invitation letter to the guard, and walked in. Bowen Hall, with a very elegant name, is as resplendent as a palace inside, and the soft lights are softly cast down, covering the entire hall with a layer of golden tulle, just like a dream. The environment is very elegant. I have to say that the organizer of the summit is very good at picking places. As soon as he appeared, there were dozens of eyes cast on him. Of course, they were all people with status, and they would not lower their status to show favor to him. Those I met outside were small directors or CEOs of small companies. They were not qualified to attend the summit, but they could see the scene in the Bowen Hall on the big screen outside. At international film conferences, there are often big directors and well-known screenwriters sharing their experience, and there are also film company presidents sharing issues such as film selection. And these are all precious treasures. If you learn some of them, it will be a worthwhile trip. Although the summit will also be synchronized online, only by coming here in person can we absorb the successful experience of our predecessors in an impressive way. One of the more important reasons that prompted them to come here is to see Mr. Luo Ning's demeanor. It was they who heard the news that Mr. Luo Ning was invited here that they chose to come here, and they didn't care about flying for a day. The 5 hottest terms in the film industry recently are Soldier 76, Overwatch films, Ronin, Abel Hopkins, and Hank Black. These terms are all related to the phenomenon-level movie, Soldier, 76 inches inseparable from the relationship. A movie can become a god, only Overwatch pictures can do it. Soldier, 76 inches turned out to rejuvenate the sluggish film market and usher in the era of commercial films. It is a milestone work. It can be seen that Mr. Luo Ning, CEO of Overwatch Films, has realized the true meaning of commercial films. If you can listen to what he said, you will benefit your whole life. If you can understand the meaning of what he said, maybe they will be able to make a movie that can sell well in the future. This is their ultimate purpose of coming here, and the speech of this dark horse in the industry is what they pay most attention to. Compared with it, the films produced by other film companies in the past 2 years are all shit, which once caused the film market to be dead. Art films were made nondescript, documentary films were full of disobedience, imitating Overwatch films to make superheroes also did not learn the idea. Therefore, Luo Ning is the focus of this summit, and everyone is looking forward to it. There are name tags on the seats, but there is no Ronin name tag. Everyone is sitting, and it is very embarrassing for Ronin to stand alone. At this time, a middle-aged man with a beard came over, with a big belly. He greeted him with a smile, and pointed to the seat on the stage. "Mr. Luo Ning, your seat is there." This man, Ronin naturally knew, was Kino Cromwell, CEO of Universal Pictures. He once approached Cromwell with a humble attitude to discuss cooperation. Let alone the discussion, he didn't even see each other in the end. His assistant told him that Cromwell was attending an important meeting in Canada and would not be back until a few days later. In fact, as far as he knew, Cromwell was in the company at the time, but he just avoided seeing him. The reason is simple. Circle City Films is the largest film company in the United States, and it dismisses the cooperation proposed by small companies at all, thinking that small companies cannot create profits for such behemoths. Mr. Cromwell, do you still remember that a small company once approached you for cooperation? Luo Ning smiled. Before he could answer, Luo Ning smiled self-deprecatingly. How can a company as excellent as Wancheng care about those small companies? I'm so naive. Cromwell was a little taken aback. There are too many companies that have asked him to discuss cooperation, and he really can't remember it. Could it be? He suddenly realized something, and immediately regretted it deeply. If Shuang Films had really come to him, then he would have missed a golden mountain, an inexhaustible golden mountain. Luo Ning sat in his seat. The people who can sit here are all well-known big names in the industry. Seeing him coming, the few people sitting on the stage all smiled and signaled. Many faces are familiar, and several of them used to be cynic to him, thinking that his ideas are too naive, and that a story supported by heroism cannot win the love of the audience. Today's Soldier, 76 inches slapped these people in the face. At first, these people thought that making art films and documentary films had connotation and style, and most audiences would like them. However, as a film hit the street, they realized that modern society needs more relaxed and refreshing films. So, War of Dawn was born, which set off a wave of enthusiasm at the time, but it quickly subsided, because this movie can only be counted as touching the threshold of commercial movies, and it is still far from the master of Soldier, 76. Now they see the popularity of Soldier, 76 inches all over the world, so they follow suit, and the results are not satisfactory. Luo Ning just wanted to tell them that the pattern was broken, and that the script he brought with him through time travel was incomparable. If anyone could imitate it, then he would be ashamed of his identity as a time traveler. Gentlemen and ladies, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules to attend this International Film Summit, and hope that this International Film Summit will come to a successful conclusion. When Ronan's thoughts were flying, Cromwell, as the host, was already standing in front of the microphone and began his dull opening speech. At the end of the conversation, there was warm applause, and Luo Ning also clapped twice reluctantly. To be honest, he was not used to sitting on the stage for the first time. It gave him the illusion that there were all students sitting below. This was very similar to the previous school meetings, the difference was that the summit was more compelling. Why hold the summit? It is to promote the development of the film market, make it more prosperous, and provide a platform for the world's best filmmakers to share and exchange. For this reason, we hereby invite Soldier, 76 feet Mr. Luo Ning, screenwriter and CEO of Overwatch Films. Let us invite him to the stage with applause. I believe everyone can't wait. Cromwell spoke impassionedly, followed by deafening applause. Filmmakers from all over the world are looking forward to this moment. The man who created the legend of the industry, Mr. Luo Ning, is finally about to speak. People outside the hall also looked forward to it, but Lucy was extremely anxious. The boss didn't even prepare a speech, and he might go up and talk nonsense, which would be very bad. When his name was called, Luo Ning looked at Cromwell in bewilderment. The fat on Cromwell's face visibly trembled. He obviously didn't know what he meant by sitting still, showing off. The audience fell into a mysterious silence. Ah, the driver drove too fast on the way here, and I was dizzy when I swayed back and forth. I haven't recovered yet, Mr. Cromwell, let others talk about it first. I'm really sorry everyone. I will definitely deduct the driver's salary later. Luo Ning held his forehead, pretending to be in pain. In fact, his thoughts just now have flown 9 days away, and he can't get them back. Besides, he doesn't have the ability to make impromptu speeches, so he has to buy some time for himself. It would be too embarrassing. Some people in the audience couldn't help laughing. Mr. Luo Ning is really a good-natured person, and his speech is also humorous. Looking at the big screen and seeing Thomas's gloomy expression, Lucy was immediately amused. Thomas, is it your job to take the blame for Mr. Ronan? Thomas was one with the night. If it weren't for the lights, he might have disappeared in place if he closed his eyes and mouth again. He smiled wryly, maybe. A wry smile is also a smile. As a human being, one must smile and live. Oh. Cromwell had no choice but to say, then, let's first invite Mr. Abel Hopkins, the director of Soldier 76 Feet, to give a speech. After the applause, a blond man as thin as a bamboo pole stepped onto the stage and came to the podium. He bowed first, and then said, "Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, I am Abe Hopkins, the director of Soldier, 76 Feet. You may have heard it before shooting, Soldier, 76 Feet. After my name, you may think that a director like me, who is barely regarded as a well-known director, should not accept a film made by a small company." There was a sound of, "Yee," in the audience, and everyone felt that he was too modest. If he could only be regarded as barely famous, then there would be no famous director in the world. But you were wrong. When Mr. Luo Ning found me and gave me the script to read, I decided that I must make this movie, even though Mr. Luo Ning was so poor that he couldn't afford the salary. Director Hopkins laughed, and all the filmmakers in the audience also laughed. While laughing, I can appreciate how hard it was for the Overwatch film industry at that time, and now they have risen through this movie, which can be called a myth in the industry, unprecedented. Why? Because I believed that this movie would be a big hit. My intuition has always been very accurate, and I have never seen such a perfect script. It is obviously a movie with extremely heroic colors, but it is mixed with human nature. Discussion, interpretation of death, recognition of disaster, and interpretation of peace. Now it seems that my choice is not wrong. The script of Soldier 76 Feet is perfect, so perfect that I can't fault it. I just expressed it in the way of lens, and the core is still in the script, so, Soldier 76 Feet. The success is mainly due to Mr. Ronan. Mr. Luo Ning is not only a CEO with a keen sense of market demand, but also a great screenwriter. I would like to thank Mr. Luo Ning for providing me with such a flawless script and allowing me to complete such a wonderful movie. Thank you. Director Hopkins nodded slightly to where Ronan was, and Ronan nodded and smiled. Director Hopkins was quite a good person. Director Hopkins was very prestigious in the industry at the time. Luo Ning found him when he was desperate. He didn't have much hope, but he agreed. Among the many directors, he was the only one who agreed to settle the salary after the filming and release. Now it seems that his choice is far-sighted, and the popularity of Soldier 76 Inches has completely made him famous all over the world. After Director Hopkins stepped down, Cromwell called his name again, and Ronan stood up bravely and walked to the podium. Standing in front of the podium, a wonderful feeling arises spontaneously. The stiff face is actually alive. Little Sunflower Mother class starts. Bragging in front of many big names in the industry. Oh no, it should be a speech. It is inevitable to be nervous. Luo Ning thought of the way his teacher taught him to overcome nervousness, treat the people in the audience as carrots. It does have some uses. Clearing my throat, I noticed that some people in the audience seemed to have uncomfortable expressions, and some women even covered their faces with their hands. Well, bow ties are really different for this occasion. Everyone wears ties, but he is unconventional and wears a very cute bow tie. It's nothing, he has always conquered others by his own charisma. Adults only look at the inside, children only look at the outside. Whether in the Bowen Hall or outside the hall, absolute silence was maintained at the moment, and everyone's ears were pricked up. Next is Mr. Luo Ning's speech, which will be a valuable asset. Whoever has a high level of understanding will be able to own this asset. Gentlemen and ladies, I am very honored to be able to meet you here, and I am even a special guest, and all of this is due to Soldier 76 Feet. If Watch Pictures did not make such a film, may never receive an invitation from Mr. Cromwell. All eyes were on Kino Cromwell. The corners of Cromwell's eyes twitched slightly. Others might not know what Luo Ning meant, but how could he not know that it was nothing more than venting his dissatisfaction with him, as if calling him blind. The voice suddenly disappeared, and the atmosphere was awkward for a while. Luo Ning was thinking about what to say next, but he had nothing in particular to say. Well, I believe that you are more willing to ask questions and let me answer them than if I speak alone. Now the initiative is given to you. Please raise your hands. Luo Ning felt that he was really a genius, so he changed from being active to being passive, so that at least he wouldn't fall into a stalemate while talking. This lady comes first. Luo Ning pointed to a more pleasing lady in the audience. So many people raised their hands and chose her, it was unavoidable to be a little excited. Mr. Luo Ning, I would like to ask, what is the secret of your success? Luo Ning thought for a while. Success is never based on one factor, but on multiple factors. If I have to generalize, it is perception, the perception of market demand. First of all, we need to find the right position. We are targeting the broad masses of the people, not those who have a very high cultural literacy. Small works will definitely not be accepted by the public, so we should learn to find what the public needs. We shoot whatever they need. Yangchun Baishui is art, and Shaoliba people are also art. Don't think that Shaoliba people are not popular. Screenwriters who hold this kind of thinking are destined to fail to write scripts that can sell well. To put it vulgarly, the purpose of film companies is to make money, so we should make films that cater to the market. People are under great pressure in life, and the boring work day after day will make them depressed. Amateurs pursue relaxation. Stimulating activities are to regulate emotions and release yourself. So, They definitely don't want to watch those brain-burning or uninteresting movies, but need visual impact, spiritual shock, and emotional release. Soldier 76 feet perfectly meets the above elements, so it succeeded. All the filmmakers in the audience took notes, and the experience shared by Mr. Luo Ning will become their benchmark for future filmmaking. Thank you for your answer. The lady was very satisfied with this answer. This gentleman. Next, Luo Ning pointed to a very sensual man with a very handsome figure. Mr. Luo Ning, I would like to ask if you planned the Overwatch series from the beginning, or did you shoot one and think about it? To put it simply, have you thought about what you want to shoot in the future? How many Overwatch players are there in total? Heroes. What abilities do the heroes possess? Luo Ning clapped his hands. Good question. Overwatch is a superhero organization that I conceived in 5 years. They punish evil and promote good in the future world, and fight against evil forces to maintain world peace. It's just that I don't know how to do it. At present, only 28 characters have been set. Superhero. 28 bits. Many people were shocked when they heard this number, and of course some thought he was bragging. Currently, only Soldier 76 has been released in the series of Overwatch movies, and the upcoming, Winston. I can also reveal the others to satisfy your curiosity. Overwatch also includes Reinhardt, Reaper, Bastion, Doomfist, Genji, Hanzo, Junkrat, McCree, Tracer, Diva, Widowmaker, Ana, Symmetra, Torbjorn, Angel, Roadhog, Lucio, Moira, Zenyatta, Bridget, Pharah, Sombra, Mei, Orisa, Zarya, and Wrecking Ball are 26 superheroes. Ronan wriggled his fingers and said silently to 26. He was relieved immediately. Fortunately, no one was missed. Including Soldier 76 and Winston, there are exactly 28 superheroes. Wow! The audience was in an uproar, and the applause was louder and louder. Those filmmakers who thought that Luo Ning had no real skills but luck were all convinced at the moment. The hero's name was spoken so fluently, obviously it wasn't made up on the spot, and he should have been familiar with it long ago. Including several big names sitting on the stage, they all stared at Luo Ning with incredible eyes. I didn't expect that Luo Ning would design so many superheroes from the very beginning, and all of them were famous. Interesting. If all of them are made into good quality movies, it is impossible to imagine what kind of national craze will be set off in the future. It can be seen from this that Luo Ning's ambitions are very big. He is afraid that he wants to make Overwatch into a brand, and then create a brand effect that can make countless fans excited when he hears the name, and even form a certain kind of culture. Hearing the answer, the man who asked the question was stunned. Sir, is there anything else I would like to ask? Luo Ning's words brought him back to his senses. He shook his head, and said excitedly, Mr. Luo Ning is indeed a genius screenwriter, he is far behind you and me. From you, I see my own shortcomings. I will definitely work harder on script knowledge. At the same young age, Luo Ning's current achievements are like a moat, which is beyond his reach. He may not be able to reach the height of Luo Ning in his entire life. If he can write an excellent script like Soldier 76 inches in his life, he will be able to do so in his life. It's worth it too. Luo Ning answered a few more questions, received numerous applause, and then returned to his seat, feeling quite good about being tireless. Just now, the movie characters in the audience were like students who were thirsty for knowledge, while he was like a teacher full of knowledge, tirelessly answering students' questions. To be honest, it's kind of cool to be a teacher, especially to this group of self-righteous guys. Several big names came to the stage to give speeches, but everyone's enthusiasm was not as high as before. Some people yawned because of sleepiness, and the applause was soft. In the entire summit, only the stage of Luo Ning's speech was the most enthusiastic, and the rest of the time was very flat. Seeing this, Cromwell delivered a closing speech appropriately, and the International Film Summit came to a successful conclusion. I didn't expect so many people to come to this summit. Among them are some big names who never give him face, and there are also some lonely people who said that the summit is boring and will not come to participate. In fact, the summit was overcrowded, with people sitting inside and outside the hall, from big names in the film industry to unknown directors. He is also very self-aware. Those big names who can't even invite him can take time out of their busy schedules to attend the summit, not because his appeal has become stronger, but because Luo Ning came here. Luo Ning is the most charismatic person in the film industry. The summit came to an end, and everyone left the table one after another. Just as Luo Ning got up, the ear-piercing alarm sounded suddenly, and his heart beat violently. Everyone hurry up and hide. A group of security guards came in a panic, holding guns in both hands and facing the door, as if they were facing an enemy. Boom! A missile flew over and exploded in the hall, blowing up the security guards, and some filmmakers who were near the entrance were also injured. Ronan was standing on the stage, so he was not bombed, but he couldn't help but swear, "What the?" After finally coming out once, he was targeted by criminals. Who did you provoke me? Chapter 11. In Bright Star Square, several police cars parked on the side of the road were blown up, and passers-by fled in panic. Those thugs were extremely accurate with their marksmanship. They knocked down the security guards and policemen, but they didn't shoot civilians. They had received professional training at first glance, and they were a group of extremely fierce mercenaries. Lucy and Thomas hid in the distance, panicked and didn't know what to do. They were going to have a big meal to celebrate, but they didn't expect such a terrorist attack at the end of the summit, and even the police force was insufficient for a while. The Bowen Hall was bombed to pieces, and Cromwell was also quite frightened. He said palely, "Come with me, there is a secret passage here." After speaking, he went straight to the passage on the left. Luo Ning looked at the wounded on the ground, didn't care about them, and walked to the hidden passage, flying separately when the disaster was imminent. It was so realistic. As soon as the front foot entered the passage, a group of armed thugs rushed into the hall with the back foot, shot and killed all the security guards, and controlled all the frightened filmmakers. "Fortunately, I wisely left a passage," Cromwell said as he walked. "What do they do?" Shirley Hill is also the president of a famous film company, and she is worried about the safety of those people outside. "I don't care about them." Cromwell walked fast, for fear that the criminals would find the entrance of the passage and break open the secret door forcibly. However, as soon as he finished speaking, there were several black muzzles pointing at them. In the narrow dark passage, 3 ferocious thugs pointed their guns at them and approached slowly. Luo Ning twitched the corner of his mouth. This passage is really quite secret. How come? Cromwell's eyes widened. It was impossible for this to happen. "Raise your hands. Our task is not to kill you, but if you dare to move around, I might pull the trigger out of precaution," the tallest thug said. Cromwell hurriedly raised his holstered hand. "In front of these desperados, it's better to be good." Ronan originally suspected that Cromwell planned it, but now it seems that it is not, because his demeanor and behavior don't seem to be pretending. It seems that he is also very puzzled as to why these thugs are blocking the secret passage, as if he had expected it long ago. There must be ghosts. Cromwell puffed up his cheeks, his throat made a gurgling sound, and he was very angry. "Who sent you here?" Cromwell asked angrily. "I'm afraid I can't tell you, just walk with us and you'll know." They got closer and closer, and Luo Ning had a fierce ideological struggle, to change or not to change. "Let's change." Although there is a high probability that these 3 guys can be killed, there is also the possibility of being shot. He has been pointing a gun at himself. He is not McCree, and he does not have the ability to draw a gun quickly. After seeing Soldier 76, they would be stunned for a few seconds. "No change. I don't know where I will be taken, and whether I can come back alive is still unknown." Thinking about it this way, it seems that it is better to transform into a way to survive, but not now. We have to wait for them to take it lightly. "Okay, we'll go with you." Luo Ning walked towards the muzzle of the black hole, turned around after reaching the mob, and looked at Cromwell and other big guys who had lost their ability to think. "Come on guys, there's only one way we can go." One of the thugs snorted and said, "Sure enough, there are sensible guys." Seeing this, Cromwell and others walked over helplessly. Seeing that they threw themselves into the trap, those thugs put down their guns and prepared to escort them to the pickup point. As long as they were delivered to their destination, the task would be successfully completed. "Take back your dirty hands." Just when the thug was about to grab Luo Ning's shoulder, Luo Ning suddenly turned around, raised his hands, and put on a gun pose. A few thugs raised their guns subconsciously, and seeing that his palm was empty, they retracted their guns and said with a smile, "Kid, can we stop playing house?" After speaking, he reached out and grabbed his shoulder. "I said, take back your dirty hands." The voice was cold and murderous, and the process of Ronan's transformation into Soldier 76 was completed almost instantly, and a pulse rifle appeared on his empty palm. With a snap of the finger, 3 miniature rockets were launched, carrying the tail flames to draw a brilliant blue trajectory, and flew out in a spiral form, like a whirlwind. The 3 thugs had no time to react. Boom! The tiny rocket exploded between the 3 thugs, who were knocked to the ground and suffered varying degrees of injuries. Due to the short distance, Luo Ning and the other stunned people were also pushed back, but Luo Ning immediately stabilized his figure, with the dark muzzle of the gun pointing downward. Da da da! Blue flames spewed out from the muzzle. As soon as the shuttle passed by, the 3 thugs were riddled with holes, and they couldn't die anymore. Luo Ning took out an energy crystal from his battlesuit and reloaded the pulse rifle. Originally, he could have killed them with 3 bullets, but he chose to use this brutal method to recharge the tactical eyepiece. After passing through the bar, I understood the principle. After the energy bullet hits the enemy, it will generate an invisible energy. This strange energy will be absorbed by the battle suit, and then convert this energy into the activation energy of the tactical eyepiece. Last time I accumulated 20% energy in the bar, this time I got another 30% energy from the crazy strafing, and the tactical eyepiece is now 50% charged. The thugs seem to have heard the commotion here. On the other side of the light, a few figures appeared faintly, and the sound of subtle footsteps resounded in the quiet passage. Cromwell and the others hid behind Ronan with shocked faces, as if they had personally experienced a movie scene. Soldier 76 could always appear in critical moments to protect the weak. They prefer to call him Soldier 76 now, as real as it is fake, but as unreal as a dream. Ronan raised his pulse rifle, aiming it there, ready to pull the trigger. Immediately, he frowned slightly. It seemed that he had experienced this kind of scene somewhere, and it was very familiar. Suddenly remembered. That's right, it is the gunfight dream of million elementary school students. The cabin in the CF transport ship, that low and narrow iron channel. Novices always like to stay there and kill people. Whenever someone comes down, they will shoot wildly. This method has been tried and tested when everyone is a novice. He has killed many people in the past, but after playing for a long time, the players become smarter. Will first throw a grenade into test. Boom! Question mark question mark question mark. There seems to be a very strange voice. Looking down, a very kind object appeared at his feet. Luo Ning's pupils shrank suddenly, and he threw his hands out, throwing Cromwell and others to the ground, using his body to block the grenade's attack. The aftermath of the explosion. Soldier 76's physical fitness is very high, not much better than that of the US team, and the aftermath spread, just feeling a little itchy on the back. The grenade exploded, and there was a sudden sound of hurried footsteps. Luo Ning got up quickly, with the dream of a gun battle with million elementary school students, and used his pulse rifle to knock down all those innocent thugs. The tactical eyepiece is 100% charged. Don't compare your speed with him, and don't compare your marksmanship with him, because comparing these things with Soldier 76 will often lead to a miserable death. I alone am an army. Luo Ning turned around gracefully, but saw all horrified faces, as if looking at a monster. Hey, don't be stupid here, it's not safe. Luo Ning said loudly. Came back to his senses, Cromwell said obsessively like a fanboy, Soldier 76. I advise you to keep your mouths in check. If the wind leaks, I may do some bad things. The indifferent words made them shiver, and they nodded repeatedly, but the reverence in their eyes remained unchanged. It's unbelievable and cool that Mr. Ronan is actually Soldier 76. I'm going to save them, do you want to come? He has already transformed, so he will be a good person to the end. There are still a few people who have helped him in the hall. Shirley Hill nodded. Mr. Ronan, I'll go with you. Cromwell didn't hesitate either, I'll go too. The others all expressed that they wanted to go with him, because there was no choice at all. Staying here was a dead end, this passage was no longer safe, and going out would be a trap. Although the hall is also very dangerous, following Soldier 76 is not so scary. As long as Soldier 76 is by his side, they have a strong sense of security. Besides, Soldier 76 symbolizes justice, and justice must prevail. The police and the thugs fought in chaos, and Lucy and Thomas were in a panic. At this time, they hoped that Ronan was Soldier 76, so that they could at least protect themselves. Thomas suddenly remembered what the boss told him that night, and quickly took out his mobile phone to find the number. Calling 911 is useless. Didn't you see that the police were all turned back? Lucy said. It's not 911. This is the phone number my husband left me that night. This person should be able to help him. With hope in mind, Thomas dialed the strange number. Jarvis, get me the focus gun head. Okay, sir. Looking at the blue, white, and black pulse rifle floating in the air, Tony Stark smiled, and felt more and more that he was a genius. No matter how complicated the firearm was, he could make it within a few days. Take the shaped gun head and load it on the rifle, and you're done. Stark picked up the pulse rifle and fired 2 shots at the wall. The light blue bullets were shot out and embedded in the wall. Perfect. The energy bullet fired by the pulse rifle in the movie is actually formed by compressing some mysterious energy body and does not require a magazine, so the structure of the gun body is very complicated, but this can't help him. Since there is no such mysterious energy body, he uses another blue energy body as a substitute. The only commonality between the 2 energy bodies is that they are similar in color, but their power is far less than the power of the bullets fired by the pulse rifle in the movie, and the 7.62 mm caliber. The power of bullets fired by automatic rifles is not much different. It's not bad to achieve this level in a few days, anyway, he thinks it is. The materials used are all high quality. A set of smart battle suits and a rifle are worth several million in cost alone, not to mention that they are made by him, the world's top mechanic. The equipment made by Tony Stark himself should be of great value and cannot be measured by money. The only shortcoming is the bullet. If he can find that special energy body and refine the structure of the gun body, he might be able to restore the pulse rifle in the movie. It's just impossible to find this energy body from the Earth, otherwise it would have been used in military affairs long ago. Stark took a breath, stuffing the heavy pulse rifle into the suitcase of Soldier 76's uniform. Oh, there are also gas masks and tactical eyepieces. Seeing the eyepiece in the suit box, Stark shook his head. This is the flaw in this set of equipment. Although the appearance is exactly the same as in the movie, it cannot lock the enemy. The only use is to block sand and dust and prevent ultraviolet rays. It's just a pair of very ordinary glasses, which have nothing to do with tactics. That's all there is to it for now. Stark stretched his waist, and Ronan told him that his work had been done, and all he had to do was wait for Ronan to bring him the Iron Man script. Sir, there is a strange call from Manhattan. Stark frowned. How could his number be known by strangers? Manhattan's call. After hesitating for 2 seconds, he still answered it. Hey, hello, Mr. Luo Ning has helped you draw up the first draft of the script, and now you are in Bright Star. He asked you to arrive as quickly as possible. If you don't see anyone in 3 minutes, then the previous agreement will be void. Thomas didn't know who the other party was, but judging from the performance of the boss last time, the other party should be someone who could handle any crisis. Stark's voice was very familiar, and he knew Ronan, immediately thought of that black man, Ronan's full-time driver. 7 minutes. Stark glanced at Mark IV. I think I only need 1 minute, and 2 more minutes to be considered Mr. Ronan's debt to me. After hanging up the phone, Stark immediately put on the Mark IV suit, took Soldier 76's suitcase away, and flew out. Who were you calling just now? Lucy asked. Thomas scratched his head. The voice sounds familiar, but I can't remember who it is. He said he could get here in a minute. I feel very unreliable. Pray that he won't be as unreliable as Mr. Luo Ning. God doesn't allow jokes at this time. Lucy closed her eyes and prayed. I think so. Thomas clasped his hands together, closed his eyes and became part of the night. Flying at high altitude, Stark saw a place flickering with fire, and faintly heard gunshots. Jarvis, where is this? Your destination, Bright Star, sir. What? Stark fell rapidly and called Thomas. Thomas, can you tell me what happened to Bright Star? You know my name. Thomas was startled. If you lose your memory, I suggest you go to see a doctor. Can you forget Iron Man? After Stark landed, he complained that it was to help the police deal with the thugs, and he was right on the side of the police. The appearance of Iron Man made the demoralized police bravely launch a counterattack, and also made the crowd scream for it. With the appearance of Iron Man, all crises will be resolved. You're Tony Stark. Thomas finally remembered. Well, this place was attacked by criminals. Iron Man suddenly appeared in front of him, interrupting his train of thought. Stark took off his face armor and handed over the suit box, your equipment. Then he looked at Lucy, smiled and said, Miss Barrett, we meet again. Mr. Stark, please go in and rescue Mr. Luo Ning. Lucy said anxiously. Where is he? Stark asked. Bowen Hall. Lucy pointed to the bright hall deep in the square. No one knew what happened inside. All the display screens outside were destroyed. Closing the face armor, Stark rushed over, but was entangled by a group of thugs who didn't know how to live or die along the way, and all kinds of iron chains and hooks smashed at him. Thomas held the suitcase and was overjoyed. He didn't expect Mr. Stark to be so efficient. What is this? Lucy frowned, not knowing what this big lump of iron was. Thomas reached out his hand to touch the suitcase. It was cold and smooth, as if sensing the call of the suit, his eyes suddenly burst into countless lights. Miss Brent, I think the purpose of Mr. doing this is to let me solve this situation. There is a force driving me forward. I feel the call of the battle suit. I must respond. I must act immediately. I am the embodiment of Soldier 76. Thomas clenched his fists with high spirits. After saying that, he opened the suitcase. How did you open the suitcase? Holding the suitcase in his arms, Thomas poked his head out to look over it. After looking around, he didn't know where to open it, and there was no button or anything. What's the matter? A completely closed iron box. It suddenly looked like eggplant beaten by frost. It was gone. Puff. Lucy, who was in a bad mood, was directly amused. Thomas was simply a joker. One moment he pretended to be a hero to save the world, and the next moment he turned into a bewildered dementia patient. I'm afraid I'm not a fool. Hey, Mr. Stark, how did you open this iron box? How to open the box? Well, I'm sorry I didn't explain it clearly to you. Listen, put your thumbs on the bottom of both sides of the suit box, swipe to the top at the same time, and then swipe inward at the same time. When the thumb touches, it's okay. The chain. Stark yanked hard and threw several thugs who were manipulating the chain launcher into the sky. Thomas did as he did, and the moment his thumb touched, a burst of blue light shone on his face, and striped blue veins appeared on the box, and then it opened with a click. Luo Ning slowly pushed open the hidden door, and made a silent gesture to the few behind him, signaling them to stay here and not move. Cromwell and the others understood that if nothing unexpected happened, the hall would turn into a battlefield full of guns and bullets later, and going out would be a dead end. Luo Ning walked out on tiptoe. The cat was by the wall, poking out half of its head to observe the situation. Those filmmakers knelt down with their heads in their hands, begging the thugs not to kill them, but the thugs really didn't kill them, because their mission was to take these people away, and they were waiting for the helicopter to land. Sydney, how long are you going to keep me waiting? One of the thugs yelled into the intercom. Don't be angry, buddy, please. Give me another 3 minutes, said the other end of the walkie-talkie. The thug put away the walkie-talkie and yelled at the restless filmmakers, if you dare to move around again, I will cripple your arms. Finding the right moment, Luo Ning pressed the start button on the side of the tactical eyepiece and rushed towards the stage. Tactical eyepiece activated. Immediately in front of the tactical eyepiece, a crystal clear blue light screen appeared, as if everything in the field of vision was covered by it. I see you. The pulse rifle was pointed at a group of thugs, and the muzzle spewed out blue flames. Every bullet did not miss, and hit the thugs firmly. The tactical eyepiece will lock on the enemies in the field of vision, and give priority to the ones closest to him. Whenever an enemy falls, it will quickly lock on to the next target, and every bullet will be used to its full potential. It takes at most 2 shots to kill a mob, and 1 energy crystal will be compressed into 25 bullets, which means that after 1 energy crystal is shot, at least 12 enemies can be eliminated. There is no need to aim, and the trigger is not loose. Just swing your arm following the target locked by the tactical eyepiece, and you can instantly kill 3 or 4 enemies. The energy crystal needs to be loaded halfway, and Luo Ning has already found a bunker, which is the pillar under the stage. The thugs reacted quickly, and immediately raised their guns and fired at the stage indiscriminately. However, Luo Ning ran very fast, and all the bullets hit him behind him. It's stupid to use the same way to deal with ordinary people to deal with Soldier 76. It's okay to fight ordinary people at such a close distance, because the bullets fire very fast, but Soldier 76 moves very, very fast, faster. Aim at the place where he is currently, and when the bullet flies there, the body moves forward at least one step. So the bullets hit the wall of the stage. A landscape painting by everyone was destroyed to nothing. The dense holes on the wall are even more frightening to see. If it hits a person, it will become a sieve in an instant up. Those filmmakers were all dumbfounded, thinking that they had been scared out of hallucinations. How could the characters in the movie appear in the real world? Some people believed the scene in front of them, because there was a news a few days ago that Soldier 76 protected Mr. Luo Ning and his assistant, and some witnesses saw Soldier 76 with their own eyes. Have authenticity. Now, they couldn't help but believe what the boy said, that Soldier 76 really exists in this world. Soldier 76 will always appear when people are facing threats, kill all the criminals, and then hide their merits and fame, and leave after the incident. Luo Ning's heart fluctuated violently, and he hid behind the pillar and took a deep breath. Even if it was him, running desperately would consume a lot of energy, but that was all he could do. He didn't want to be shot into a sieve by densely packed bullets. Even now, there are still many bullets hitting the other side of the pillar. This is a manifestation of the inner panic of the thugs, seeing half of their accomplices fall, seeing the superhero that exists in the movie, and seeing the familiar tactical eyepiece. Even if he is used to watching life and death, his legs will inevitably feel weak at this moment, and he can only pour out the panic in his heart in the form of bullets. Against Soldier 76, they had no chance of winning. Luo Ning loaded the energy block, adjusted his state and rushed out again, taking advantage of the last few seconds of the tactical eyepiece. Da da da. The tongues of blue flames were like a cold death scythe, reaping their lives mercilessly, just like reaping wheat. The thugs launched a counterattack when they were dying. Countless bullets grazed Luo Ning's back in a thrilling manner, but none of them hit him. When the last enemy fell, Ronan cocked his pulse rifle, left hand on hip, panting. Boom. Suddenly, there was an explosion, and the wreckage of the helicopter smashed not far from the door, emitting black smoke and flying dust. Then with a swish, an iron lump flew in. Seeing the corpses all over the floor, and seeing Soldier 76, and those gentlemen and ladies who were grateful to Soldier 76, Stark spread his hands helplessly. He is definitely the one who is redundant. Luo Ning's head buzzed immediately. Why is Iron Man here? There is a micro-communication device in the suit, so he quickly called Stark, and he answered it quickly. Mr. Stark, you will definitely not reveal my identity, will you? Ronan said in a low voice. Actually, I'm here to save you. And now I feel very uncomfortable, like a punch on the cotton. When people are uncomfortable, they will inevitably do some inappropriate actions. Stark also said in a very low voice, just enough for Ronan to hear. I assure you, I will find an actress with good acting skills, good looks and good figure to cooperate with you in filming, and the crew will serve cheeseburgers every day, so I will definitely create a comfortable filming environment for you. As for the script, I will change it to you until you are satisfied. If you are not satisfied, push back and start again. I have that patience. In order to let Tony keep the secret, Luo Ning showed enough sincerity. Seeing Soldier 76 and Iron Man standing here motionless, the others looked at a loss. What are they doing? Mind communication. I think it's okay. Stark thought the conditions were pretty good. By the way, Soldier 76's uniform and pulse rifle are ready. I can pick it up anytime. No, I came over and brought it along, and it's in Thomas's hands now. Thomas. Luo Ning understood. It turned out that Thomas called Iron Man. Based on what he knew about Thomas, this guy would definitely rush in to save him to satisfy his vanity. Not only that, Thomas still has the soul of the second class hidden in his body, and frequenting nightclubs can only release the pressure, but cannot awaken the soul of the second class. But this time, it was just an opportunity. The moment he put on the uniform of Soldier 76, the middle school soul in his body, like a beast that had been sleeping for many years, woke up. I'm going first. Now Thomas is Soldier 76, and Soldier 76 is Thomas. Luo Ning was going to run away. If two Soldiers 76 appeared here, everything he had done before would be in vain. I think we can hug. This is definitely a historic moment. Tony opened his arms. Luo Ning did not refuse, and gave Iron Man a big hug in the skin of Soldier 76. This hug spans countless dimensions. Gentlemen and ladies, this scene will last forever. Overwatch member Iron Man and Overwatch member Soldier 76 met for the first time in the Bright Star Bowen Hall on September 2009. Tony's voice returned to normal decibels. After dispelling their fear, many filmmakers exclaimed and took out their mobile phones to take pictures of this historic moment. Several big names in the film industry, including Cromwell who appeared on the stage, also took out their mobile phones to take pictures with great excitement. This scene is too shocking. The superheroes in the movie and the superheroes in reality are embracing together. This shocking story will definitely run out of paper and ink in all major newspapers. Before leaving, Tony said something inexplicable to him, saying that he owed him 2 minutes, but he didn't ask carefully because of time constraints. Walking out of the hall, Luo Ning immediately released the transformation state, and then saw a swift figure running into the hall. It was that fellow Thomas. I am the embodiment of justice and the judge of evil. Endless light shines on me. I will wash away the darkness and bring light back to the world. I am Soldier 76. Thomas made his debut in the uniform of Soldier 76, and the soul of the second class was burning. Everyone stared at him dumbfounded, only Tony shook his head, casting a look of concern for the mentally handicapped. Where are the people? Thomas turned around in a circle and found a pile of dead bodies. He smiled awkwardly and said, Mr. Iron Man, you are the best. Cromwell and the others were a little puzzled. Could this guy be the wise and brave Mr. Luo Ning? Why is it like a mentally retarded? Hey, where is Mr. Luo Ning? Thomas didn't see Luo Ning, and felt a little flustered. I'm here, Soldier 76, thank you for saving everyone. Luo Ning swaggered in through the main entrance, nodded slightly to Thomas, this is the second time you saved me, I am very grateful. Wow, the boss actually nodded to him to express his gratitude, so cool. Cromwell, Hill, and a few others were stunned. Soldier 76 is obviously Mr. Luo Ning. How could Mr. Luo Ning appear in the same frame as Soldier 76? Is there more than one Soldier 76? Or is Soldier 76 just a code name? Anyone can be Soldier 76. Their heads are in a mess. Luo Ning was a little guilty at first, because his transformation changed from beginning to end, including the sound, while Thomas only matched his height, and the rest did not match the appearance of Soldier 76. Soldier 76's hair is silvery white, Thomas is brown, Soldier 76 has a scar on his forehead, Thomas doesn't, Soldier 76's skin is very white, Thomas is as black as a ghost. But what appeared in front of his eyes was the fake Soldier 76, even with the same timbre. Well, it must be Tony's credit, and I have to thank you in retrospect. This kind of deformation method has to be learned, too cool. It is not difficult to change the tone. You can read the voice data of Soldier 76 in the movie, load it into a voice changer and install it in a gas mask, but it is amazing to whiten the skin. Could it be that a strong bleaching powder is used? At this time, the reporters rushed in, Light escape infinite continuous shooting technique. Seeing the reporter, Luo Ning's head grew big, and so did Tony, so he tried to escape. Well, the two of them pretended to be passionate, and the reporter rushed to interview Soldier 76, who had nothing to do with them. It was the first time I was snubbed by reporters, and I felt like I was left in the cold. Tony is a little tangled in his heart, where is he not the most dazzling star? This time, he was put aside by the reporter. Can this work? You must find your own pride. Tony dangled in front of the reporters, but there were still no reporters interviewing him. He took off his battle clothes to reveal his handsome face, but still there were no reporters. The reporters surrounded Soldier 76. Well, journalists are also a profession that loves the new and dislikes the old. Are you Soldier 76? Wow, that's cool. Soldier 76, where are you from and where are you going? Soldier 76, can you describe the process of this malicious attack? Surrounded by many reporters' little sisters, Thomas was so buoyant, as if he was in heaven and earth, as beautiful as it could be. Don't worry, ask one by one, I will answer one by one, there is plenty of time. Thomas wished he could chat with these little sisters more, If possible, he wouldn't mind opening a room for a slow chat. Unable to see Thomas bragging, Ronan and Tony walked out with their shoulders crossed, their backs looking lonely and cold. Two old guys who have been eliminated by the time snuggle up to keep warm, and find a little sustenance in each other in this impersonal world. In a hamburger restaurant, Ronan and Tony ate hamburgers and drank Coke, chatting without saying a word. They were the only ones in the whole store, because Tony directly took over the store. "Tony, I'm curious how you got Thomas to look like that." Luo Ning called Iron Man by his first name. At first they were a cooperative relationship, but today Tony came to rescue him without asking why. From this point of view, Tony is a good friend worth making. He didn't believe that Tony would believe the stupid idea that came up in an emergency. He could write a script and ask him to do it, and the things that were discussed before were invalidated in less than 3 minutes. After thinking about it, it was ridiculous, and it was almost the same as coaxing a 3-year-old child. That's very simple. Let's talk about it at the end. Let's talk about the business first. Thomas said that you have drawn up the first draft of the script. Tony said very seriously. Luo Ning's expression was very complicated at the moment. You don't really believe it, do you? Tony frowned. His tone became a little harsh. Thomas lied to me. The situation was urgent. Thomas came up with this method to save me, because only in this way can you get here as quickly as possible. I'm sorry for lying to you. Luo Ning explained and apologized. Hearing this, Tony shrugged with a smile. It doesn't matter. Anyway, I plan to find a time to send you the battlesuit box. As compensation to you, I decided to show you a passionate video. Luo Ning took out his phone. Video. Passionate. Sorry, I'm not interested in that. Tony glanced at Ronan vigilantly, and shrank back subconsciously. Luo Ning puffed up his cheeks and almost laughed out loud. It's not the one you thought. Besides that, what other video would be passionate? Tony thought about it, and said a little excitedly, could it be, Winston? It's very close to the correct answer. Luo Ning persuasively. Tony took a hard bite of the burger, thinking as he ate. Eating a hamburger helps you think. Ronan also took a bite, but not for thinking, but for pure desire to eat. While eating, Tony suddenly realized. He stretched out his index finger and tapped the table heavily. Winston, trailer, right? Ronan nodded. Tony Stark is indeed one of the smartest people in the world, but he just can't figure out why he believes Thomas's words. It's really puzzling. So, the two enjoyed this passionate video together. The trailer was only 2.5 minutes long. After watching it, both of them were excited. They wanted to find someone to fight with, but they still couldn't get enough of it. They wished that Winston would be released now. Very hot movie. This is Tony's evaluation. You only see the surface. The trailers are like this. They rely on ignition to attract the audience. In fact, the whole movie will make a lot of sense. The scripts of the Overwatch series are not only ignited, but also make people think deeply. This is the charm of the Overwatch series of movies. In another day, Overwatch Films will release a trailer on the entire network to warm up the release of Winston and create buzz. Believe that day, the whole world will be boiling for it. Potato chips, Coke, chicken chops, chicken tenders, all kinds of snacks are on the table, and Luo Ning has returned to the happy days. Soldier 76 is the scene that appears the most on TV, and his high profile is no less high profile than Iron Man. Ronan is light. He and Soldier 76 appear on TV together, so that everyone will no longer think he is Soldier 76, and S.H.I.E.L.D. will not come to trouble him. At most it will trouble Thomas. I'm such a genius. Luo Ning couldn't help admiring himself. This trick of embedding flowers and trees is so clever. Just like this, let the salty fish go on, let Thomas be the hero or something. But before that, he had to figure out what happened yesterday. Who hired the mercenaries to capture them and the filmmakers? What was their purpose? If you don't understand this matter, similar things will happen in the future. However, according to news reports, those mercenaries were all dead and no one was left alive, so there was no subject for interrogation, and no clues were left at the scene. This is also a mystery to the police. Who is planning this horror behind the scenes? Action. What is the motive for committing the crime? It will take a lot of time to figure this out, so let's enjoy life until then. Dillily. Before picking up the phone, Luo Ning knew that it was Lucy who was calling, as expected. Hello, Lucy. Mr. Luo Ning, Blizzard Entertainment wants to talk to you about cooperation. Give me an appointment until tomorrow. Their vice president has arrived at the company. Do people like to come uninvited so much nowadays? Luo Ning is drunk. Don't bring such a bully. Does he really think he has a lot of time? Blizzard. Well, Blizzard Entertainment still needs to give some face. After all, it is a global game company with a very important weight in the game circle, and the vice president personally visits the door. No matter what, this face must be given, even if the business cannot be negotiated. Besides, what he is playing now is a game owned by Blizzard. If he doesn't go, it will be unreasonable both emotionally and rationally. I just don't know the Blizzard here and the Blizzard there. What is the connection between the two? It seems that there is no connection at all, just the names are similar. Thomas hadn't swollen to the point where he didn't even answer the boss's phone call. After 6 minutes, the car stopped at the door, and his efficiency didn't decrease. He has become a superhero in the eyes of the world as he wished, and he has not forgotten his responsibilities. This is worthy of recognition. Luo Ning thinks that he can be given a little more salary. After all, he has to play the role of Soldier 76 and a full-time driver, so it should be quite tiring. All right, hearing the explosive dance music playing in the car, Luo Ning decided to take back his previous thoughts. Seeing the boss coming, Thomas quickly cut the song and replaced it with pure music with a soothing rhythm. Sorry boss, I was a little absorbed in listening just now, and I didn't calculate the time for your visit. He was a little nervous. He had a good time yesterday, but he didn't adjust his state in time. It's okay, go to the company. Thomas drove the car carefully, without saying a word along the way, and returned to the taciturn black driver. Only when he put on the uniform of Soldier 76, could he awaken the soul of the middle school in his body. In fact, this is also good, work and entertainment are the same. However, Luo Ning felt that it was necessary to remind him again, Thomas, from now on, you will be Soldier 76, and you will show up when I need you. You should not wander around in uniform, as it is easy to cause accidents. Learn. Luo Ning nodded secretly. Thomas is a trustworthy person, that's why he chose to make him a replica of Soldier 76. In fact, this decision is very correct. Thomas is not flustered by the change of identity, at most he can let himself go under the identity of Soldier 76, that's all. When he came to the company and came to the office, Luo Ning saw the vice president of Blizzard Entertainment, a middle-aged man with a hooked nose and an eye-catching eye. The first feeling is that he can hang objects on his hooked nose. Seeing him coming, Moulton quickly got up and stretched out his right hand, leaned slightly and said, Hi, Mr. Ronan, I'm Andrew Moulton, Vice President of Blizzard Entertainment, nice to meet you. Hi Mr. Moulton, please sit down. Luo Ning asked him to sit down, and sat on the office chair himself. Respect has always been mutual. If someone treats him with a low status, then he will return with the most humble attitude. Across the desk, the two chatted. With his throat dry, he picked up the teacup on his right and took a sip. It was lukewarm. It was obvious that Lucy had brewed it in advance. Except for her, no one would be so considerate. Luo Ning put down his teacup, and continued, Let me sum it up. Your company wants to directly buy the right to use the character image of Soldier 76, and then use this character image and related settings to make a standalone game. I don't know if my summary is wrong. Moulton nodded. That's it, sir, except for the characters, we will replan the background setting and the storyline. What about the other aspects, if you use the Soldier 76 for other purposes and so on? No, it will only be used in this game, and Soldier 76 will not appear in other places. We will explain this when we draw up the contract. Luo Ning thought for a while. It may not be possible to directly buy the right to use the image of Soldier 76's movie. Since you plan to make a standalone game, the charging method must be a buyout system, so how about our share? Long flow is the kingly way. If the game becomes popular, he can make more money, and he is sure that with the level of Blizzard Entertainment, combined with the super IP of Soldier 76, the 3A masterpiece produced will definitely be a hit. Moulton said, We plan to buy the right to use Soldier 2000 for $76 million, sir, do you want to think about it again? I don't think about it, I'll think about it when I share it. Luo Ning said decisively. Then how much do you want, sir? Moulton also doesn't like to beat around the bush. He just wants to be straightforward when talking about business, and he wants to make both sides feel better when talking and doing things. 5-5. Luo Ning opened his mouth and came. May not work, because the cost of making a game is very high, and it will take a long time, ranging from 3 to 4 years to 7 or 8 years. In fact, Moulton wanted to say that you only provided the image of a movie character. Don't you think it's too greedy if you ask? You must know that their game company pays the most. It takes manpower, material and financial resources, and it takes a lot of time. However, Luo Ning only needs to provide a prototype of a character, and he will enjoy the benefits in the future. There is a lot of money without doing anything. Send it. So be it. Luo Ning spread his hands. He thought that Soldier 76 was worth the price, and any less would be an insult to Soldier 76. Soldier 76 did not appear out of thin air. It took a lot of work to make the movie, let alone the promotion and operation in the later stage. After going through various difficulties, it was possible to create such a superhero who is popular all over the world. The current ease is built on the foundation of sweat, and every success is hard-won. What's more, Soldier 76 has its own huge traffic. Game manufacturers make it into a movie. Even if they don't promote it, there will be a large number of fans. Moulton couldn't accept it, but he didn't want to give up this big IP. If other game companies seize the opportunity, Blizzard Entertainment would lose the gimmick of the first superhero standalone masterpiece. After hesitating for a while, he said, "If it is 10–20%, I need to discuss it with the company's senior management. I will give you an answer after a while." No problem. Luo Ning is not in a hurry. Put the long line and catch big fish. Young men and women all over the world are sitting in front of their computers, doing nothing but staring at the webpage. They were waiting for something that would get the adrenaline pumping. That's right, this thing is the Winston trailer. The trailer brings together the essence of the feature film, and every second is burning, so people often have the illusion that the trailer is more exciting than the feature film. Luo Ning is also staying in front of the computer at the moment. He wants to enjoy the trailer of Winston with fans all over the world and take a look at the comments of netizens. There are still 60 seconds until 12 o'clock at noon. This countdown affects the hearts of tens of millions of movie fans around the world. Everyone hopes that in 60 seconds, they will see a trailer that is even more exciting than Soldier 76. In terms of brilliance alone, Winston will definitely surpass Soldier 76, but its connotation is worse than Soldier 76, because Soldier 76 inches talks about war, peace, and humanity. Even if it is a movie that emphasizes heroism, will also bring you correct values and philosophy of life. If you want to put a label on Soldier 76, Luo Ning will first think of the word faith. Yes, the whole film of Soldier 76 inches conveys faith. When it comes to belief, confidence cannot be bypassed. It is precisely with this belief in victory and determination to never admit defeat that Soldier 76 can defeat the lair of criminals, accomplish an impossible thing, and finally serve the world. Bring peace. Even the military thought it was impossible, but Soldier 76 did it with his excellent personal ability. This is the power of faith. Just like the lines of Soldier 76, "I alone am an army." As for Winston, it mainly discusses the conflict between human civilization and technological evolution. When orangutans are genetically modified to possess human intelligence, what will they do? There is no doubt that if orangutans are endowed with human intelligence on the premise of their savage power, their animal nature will be infinitely magnified, and they will definitely get rid of human control and intend to dominate the planet. The consequences of technological evolution may make the world better, or it may bring disaster to the world. Winston is about the latter. Winston is a highly intelligent and genetically modified gorilla. The difference between him and other orangutans is that he is born very smart, and his IQ is equivalent to that of a 5 or 6-year-old child. After being genetically modified, it is smarter and more intelligent than most humans. Because of this, it is not dominated by the most primitive wildness and still has the ability to think. Under the teaching of Dr. Harold Winston, it from an experimental subject to his experimental assistant. When the other orangutans couldn't restrain their animal nature and launched a rebellion, Winston stood up and resolutely protected the human scientists on the Horizon lunar colony, and he did not hesitate to fight against his own kind. The last second of the countdown fell, and the official website of Overwatch Films was instantly overwhelmed. Even Luo Ning couldn't squeeze in. After finally squeezing in, the page was not displayed completely. He can guarantee that the equipment and network speed at home are top-notch. Even he is like this. One can imagine how crazy those foreign movie fans are, waiting for a long time for the webpage to crash. It is estimated that there are countless voices scolding Shuang Films now, such as, the garbage company closed down as soon as possible, can't even make a movie on the official website, all the money that Luo Ning earned is spent on whoring, technically don't even invest. There must be a lot of this kind of rubbish. It's gone, the programmer's pot. The high concurrency processing is too rubbish. If he is in the company, he really wants to teach those so-called technicians how to deal with high concurrency. A world-renowned film company can't even do a good job on its official website, and if it spreads, it won't make people laugh. The official website is the face of the company, and the collapse of the official website is tantamount to shamelessness. Frustrated, Luo Ning immediately called Lucy. When Lucy saw the call from Luo Ning in the company, she was surprised for a while, but she didn't expect that the CEO would take the initiative to call him. It's been a long time. As soon as he picked up the phone, there was an angry voice over there. Hey, Lucy, hurry up and let the idiots in the technical department deal with it, the official website is blown up. Lucy was stunned by the yelling and froze for a few seconds before saying, okay, no problem. After putting down the phone, Lucy let out a big breath, which really frightened her. It's rare to see the boss get angry once. After calming down, he smiled. It seems that the boss is not ignorant of the company's affairs. Even the problem that she didn't have time to discover, the boss discovered before her. After that, she conveyed Luo Ning's original words to the technical department. In fact, the technical department is already doing its best to repair the webpage. When those programmers heard the boss's words, they wished they could stuff their heads into the monitor, typing quickly on the keyboard with both hands, faintly bringing after images. If they were fired, it would be over. They are also very helpless. High concurrency processing has been done very well, but there are too many people entering the official website at the same time, so many are crazy. They also knew that there would be a lot of people, but when the real situation happened, it was still beyond everyone's expectations. Are you all this free? Waiting for the trailer in front of the computer without doing anything? Can't we watch it later? The programmers were unable to complain, and could only repair the official website as quickly as possible. Luo Ning refreshed the webpage again, and this time he entered it smoothly, and the content loading was completed in an instant. I checked the time, it was 3:12. The official website was repaired in 3 minutes, and the efficiency was not low. Only then did Luo Ning calm down, and he would really yell at them in the future, otherwise he, the CEO, would be treated as a decoration. The scrolling picture section at the beginning of the official website is fixed on the gorilla wearing the armor. At first glance, Winston looks savage, but if you look closely, you will find that Winston is wearing a pair of black-rimmed glasses, looking refined and refined. The two completely different attributes of savagery and frailty will bring about a huge gap and make people more interested. The words, trailer of Winston, are very clear, and the picture of Winston is very attractive, which makes people feel a little urge to go in after seeing it. Click to watch. He has watched the trailer no less than 10 times, and he still won't get tired of it. Besides, there are at least a few million people watching with him at this time. The feeling is very different, and he is proud and touched. 2.5 minutes later, there were heated discussions in various forums, and the most famous forum for movie lovers was Douban. 90% of the titles on Douban's homepage have the words, Winston, trailer, which shows how popular it is. Luo Ning clicked on a duty post. Douban forum accounts are divided into levels. The only way to increase the level is to post movie reviews or give opinions on upcoming movies, so as to get likes. The more likes, the faster the upgrade. Account levels from low to high are divided into Doje, Do Master, Do Ling, Do Wang, Do Huang, Do Zong, Do Zun, Do Sheng, and Do Di. Duty's posts are basically very nutritious, and the comments are relatively pertinent. There will be no such situations as brainless praise or brainless criticism, which is in line with most people's thoughts. The situation derived from this is that some film companies will ask Duty to write film reviews for the movie, etc. It depends on Duty's character. If the money is not bad, he may stick to his heart, and if the money is bad, he may pay the company writes film reviews and advertises, which is equivalent to writing soft articles in disguise. As for this post, Luo Ning was very relieved that Overwatch Pictures would not do such infamous things. At the beginning, I thought nothing of it, but after watching it, Luo Ning's expression became a little weird. The legendary praise. Toxic milk. Didn't send money to Dodi. This Dodi's post praised Winston to the sky, and he did not hesitate to praise him. He even explained in detail how to deal with the relationship between races and the limitations of technology. As a producer and screenwriter, Luo Ning never expected that Winston would cover so many truths in a subtle way. The problem is that the Bean Emperor didn't even watch the feature film, but only watched a 2.5-minute trailer. I have to admire his brain hole and thinking expansion. Bean Emperor powerhouse, so terrifying. This is not the point. The point is that many people agreed with the post, thinking that what the Do Emperor said was very reasonable, and the reason for blindly following the trend could not be ruled out. The money of the industry, so they will spare no effort to praise. And these fans who made negative voices are not as high as the original poster, so there are many fans who blindly follow this point, saying, "You, a Bean King, dare to question the views of the Bean Emperor? Where did the mere Bean King come from?" Confidently refute Dodi. Go back and publish a few high-quality film reviews first, and come back after upgrading. Your ideological realm is not on the same level as ours. Those Bean Masters were so angry that they turned back one by one. There is a sentence that fits this situation very well. Even if I am dead and nailed to the coffin board, I still have to use my decayed voice to shout. A group of followers can see flowers in a trailer. In fact, Luo Ning didn't want to see this kind of post, and the praise was too harsh. Even after Soldier 76 inches was released, Duban didn't have such a good evaluation. Now it's just a trailer, so many things can be seen. Capitalized clothes. Except for this article, other posts are pertinent, with mixed reviews and mostly positive reviews. After watching the trailer, many movie fans will share their impressions and guesses about the plot on Duban. This is what Luo Ning is happy to see. I can't help but think of the time when Soldier 76 inches released the trailer. At that time, no one cared about it. There were only 2 or 3 posts in the entire forum for discussion, and the attention was very low. Duban was screened by Soldier 76. To this day, Luo Ning didn't dare to think about the gap between accumulating so much popularity and growing from scratch. In addition to Duban, the novel forum also set off a craze for Winston. It is normal for Soldier 76 to be popular in the forum. After all, Soldier 76 is popular all over the world, but Winston only released a trailer, and there are dozens of articles Winston's fanwork appears. Luo Ning really admires the efficiency of these people, and they are more active than the other, but they can all create momentum for Winston, maybe with the popularity of Soldier 76 inches and the people who eat melons being attracted by various this kind of fan works are attracted, and the box office can reach a new high. The 30 billion box office record set by Overwatch Pictures will be broken by Overwatch Pictures in the future. It's just so inflated and willful. As for word of mouth, not to mention surpassing Soldier 76, at least it must reach the same level. It cannot be made worse and worse, or the enthusiasm of movie fans may fade. More and more superheroes will appear in the future, and the superheroes in movies may not be so attractive to them at that time. The only way to retain the enthusiasm of movie fans is to tell stories well and make movies with heart. When Iron Man first appeared, the popularity of Soldier 76 dropped rapidly, and recently the popularity of Soldier 76 has risen rapidly again. This is inseparable from Thomas showing the image of Soldier 76 to the public. Now there are 2 known superheroes in the world, Iron Man and Soldier 76. Ronan calculated the time. Hulk probably will be on stage soon. Thinking that more and more powerful superheroes will appear in the future, my scalp tingles for a while. Soldier 76 seems to be quite strong now. When the Hulk Thor appears, it will be very weak. At most, it can be regarded as an attack-oriented US team. Not to save the world, but to protect himself, Luo Ning had to quickly activate Winston's transforming form. He didn't expect Winston to be so powerful, at least his skin was rough and his flesh was thick enough to resist beatings. Activating Soldier 76's transformation requires 8,000 million faith points. However, it seems a bit difficult to get everyone to have faith in Winston. Soldier 76 is like a savior in the movie. Belief. Now to develop faith in a gorilla. Thinking of this, Luo Ning's expression was very subtle, as if he was a bit overpowering. Luo Ning tried to contact the voice in his head, but the owner of that voice seemed to have no thought, and would only prompt him abruptly when he completed a certain indicator, like triggering some kind of achievement when playing a game. So he didn't know how to activate Winston's transformation form, even whether it could be activated was a mystery. Only one step at a time. Luo Ning shook his head, feeling a little dizzy. It might be better to go for a drive. So he called Thomas, but no one answered after waiting for 2 minutes. This situation will never happen. After 3 minutes, Luo Ning called again, but no one answered. Weird. Luo Ning couldn't sit still anymore. He swayed back and forth, thinking for a long time that Thomas would have a reason not to answer the phone. There is no such thing as a lost mobile phone. If it is lost, Thomas will use the spare phone to call him to explain the situation. Thinking of this, Luo Ning felt more or less uneasy, and immediately called Tony. Hey, Tony, I know you must have a tracking device on Soldier 76's uniform. There was a pause over there. After all, the battlesuit is my property, so I need to know its movements. What if someone throws it in the trash for me? When the time comes, the garbage collector will take a look. Tony Stark made a piece of crap. Oh, that's ugly. I swear I didn't mean to blame you, I just want you to help me see where the suit is now. Isn't the suit in Thomas's place? You just need to call him if you need the suit. The problem is I can't reach Thomas right now. Upon hearing this, Tony trotted to the studio, called out the location of Soldier 76's suit, and said in surprise, the suit is actually in Brooklyn, and Thomas ran away with it. Luo Ning's heart skipped a beat, and there was indeed trouble. He believed that Thomas could not have done such a thing. The only explanation was that Thomas was taken away, and it was probably the same group that attacked Bright Star. The purpose is obvious: clear the obstacles. Soldier 76 is the biggest obstacle in their actions. Well, you send me the exact location, and I'll go get the suit back. Do you need my help? If there is a change in the position of the battle suit, it will be a great help if you tell me in time. Bon voyage. To be honest, Tony wasn't worried. Apart from him, Soldier 76 was the most powerful in the world. Even if his suit was taken away by criminals, as long as there were not too many people and the situation was not particularly complicated, Soldier 76 could easily deal with it. Luo Ning set off immediately, drove out of the garage a red supercar that had eaten 2 months of ashes, navigated to the location of the battle suit sent by Tony, and rushed there. It was he who let Thomas play the role of Soldier 76 and had to be exposed to the public. Thomas was arrested by criminals because of this role. No matter what, he couldn't let innocent people suffer for him. No matter what you will face there, even if it is purgatory, you have to go through it. Manhattan Police Department. After several days of search and investigation, as well as the collection and inspection of the deceased's equipment, the case of the attack on Bright Star was finally cleared up. In the chamber, Sergeant Jeffrey set his sights on Brooklyn. That's right, those mercenaries must be from Brooklyn. As for the culprit behind the scenes, as long as they get rid of their lair, they will naturally reveal who the culprit is. Sheriff Jeffrey asserted. Brooklyn again. Is Brooklyn rich in terrorists? A police officer was extremely angry. Brooklyn used to be a paradise for crime. After rectification, it was peaceful for a while, but now it jumped out again and became more and more rampant. Sergeant Jeffrey sighed. Brooklyn was even more chaotic than imagined, with cases of all sizes happening every day. The police there never had a moment of leisure. But Brooklyn is so big, how do we find it? Another officer asked. Sergeant Jeffrey raised his hand. This is beyond the control of our regional police department. Before the meeting, I contacted the Brooklyn Police Department. They said that thugs wearing the same equipment have committed crimes in Brooklyn recently, and they have found the lairs of those lawbreakers have been handed over to the special forces to deal with. Special Forces. A police officer smashed his tongue, and even the Special Forces were dispatched. It seems that this criminal gang is not small. And it's the Falcon Special Forces. Sergeant Jeffrey had already expected the ending. Falcon. The police officers were quite surprised. They heard that Falcon has taken down dozens of outlaws' lairs in the past 2 years, and has never failed. The reduction of staff is inevitable, but Falcon can always get rid of them as quickly as possible at the lowest cost. It is known as the sharp saber of the United States, and it can always hit the enemy's vitals with one blow. No matter how large a terrorist organization is, once it hears a Falcon, it will shudder. If the Falcons are dispatched, then there is nothing to worry about. This matter will eventually give the masses an explanation, so that the masses will not fall into endless panic. When the policemen of the Manhattan Police Department heard the news, they all heaved a sigh of relief. This horrific case that had troubled them for a long time was finally about to be solved, and they could finally relax from their stressful work. You can make a cup of coffee and savor it in the afternoon when the sun shines into the police station. After driving for 2 hours, Luo Ning finally arrived at his destination, which was located in a desolate place in the west of Manhattan. In the boundless land, a circular building that looks like a factory stands here. Luo Ning doesn't think it is a factory. If there is no accident, this is the lair of criminals. Thomas, probably right there. But how do you get in here? Kill in. It didn't seem like a good idea. He didn't understand the distribution structure inside. Unless all the mobs were killed, he would be in danger at all times. Pretending to be thugs and sneaking in, first figure out the distribution inside. It seemed like a good idea. At the burger restaurant that day, he asked Tony what method he used to make Thomas look exactly like Soldier 76. In the end, Tony told him the method in detail and gave him a gadget. Ronan got in the car and took the thing out. It was a black square with glass covering one side and a red button on the side. This is a gadget made by Tony when he was making the Soldier 76 suit. Tony knew he wanted Thomas to disguise himself as Soldier 76, but Thomas's facial features didn't match Soldier 76's badly, so he made this gadget, which he named casually, called the Face Replicator. Although the thing is small and has a low name, it has powerful functions. It can read out the facial data of the virtual character, and then load it into the imitation human skin, and the imitation human skin will become the face of the virtual character. Tony used it to copy the face of Soldier 76, and used the imitation human skin to make a human skin mask. Thomas put it on, as if carved out of a mold, very realistic. I also have to thank Soldier 76 for being fully armed. Except for the upper half of his face, the rest of the body was tightly wrapped in battle clothes, which prevented Thomas's extremely dark skin from being exposed. Of course, with this function, it is still impossible to mix in, because it can only read the data of virtual characters. At this time, Luo Ning had to give Tony a thumbs up. Same. In addition, the face replicator can also scan a person's face, archive the facial details, and then project it onto the imitation human skin, which can also be made into a mask, but the realism is not as good as the former, such as the height of the bridge of the nose and brow bone. Can't be exactly like me. Luo Ning doesn't need to be particularly realistic, as long as he can hide from other people's eyes. Just do it. Drive the car to the hiding place first, then bring all the guys and go alone. Since they were several kilometers away, Luo Ning was not too worried about being discovered, but he had to be more careful when he got closer. Especially now, only some metal scraps can be used as intermittent hiding places, sneaky like a thief. Someone was guarding the gate, pointing a gun and looking around. The equipment on their bodies was the same as that of the thugs who attacked Brightstar. They must have taken Thomas away, Ronan confirmed again. He quickly walked around to the side, with his back close to the wall. Since the building was circular, the thugs guarding the door couldn't see him, and he happened to be standing in the blind spot of their vision. Then he transformed into Soldier 76. He couldn't even hold his gun steadily, so he was definitely not a match for these people. This point of self-knowledge is still there, and Soldier 76 is an agent himself with strong comprehensive abilities. Instead of using a pulse rifle, he took out a small pistol. To be precise, it was a powerful anesthesia gun. It would not be a dream to knock it down in a second. Close to the wall and slowly approach, slowly approach. The footsteps are very light, so light that you can't even hear yourself. Feeling that the distance was about the same, he turned around abruptly, without aiming at all, and shot directly. If he still aimed at this distance, he would really be ashamed of the word, agent. Just as the thug at the gate was about to press the siren in his hand, he fell down powerlessly. Luo Ning quickly stepped forward to support him, dragged him aside, scanned the face of the thug with a face replicator, and then projected it onto the imitation person skin. The originally smooth human skin gradually becomes angular. After being made into a mask and worn on the face, it feels the same as applying a mask, which is not uncomfortable or uncomfortable. Luo Ning released the transformation state, took off the clothes of the thug, and put them on the sportswear, which was a bit bloated. Fortunately, this guy was already strong, so it didn't violate the harmony. As for the hair, they are all short black, and there is no difference at first glance. Then, grab the thug's legs and drag him to a place where others can't see at a glance, actually behind a piece of iron sheet 100 meters away. After finishing this, Ronan stood at the door with a rifle in his hand. After a while, someone came out, his heart beat faster, and he was very nervous, to be honest. "I'll change you, go in and eat." The man's mouth was full of oil, and his teeth were stained with vegetable leaves. He had obviously just finished eating. Luo Ning didn't say a word, and walked in directly, and he could not speak without speaking, so as to reduce the possibility of exposure. It looked like an abandoned factory inside, with the smell of oil and dirt coming out of the nostrils. Luo Ning rolled his eyeballs to take a panoramic view of the surrounding scene. "McCarran, hurry up and eat." A black and fat thug waved at him. Luo Ning glanced back, no one, so he was calling him. Luo Ning trotted over. He was playing the role of McCallan, and he must not reveal his secrets, otherwise dozens of guns would be aimed at him. There are several wooden barrels filled with various foods, and the disposable lunch boxes next to them are piled high. At this moment, many thugs were eating. The black and fat guy who called him seemed to be McCallan's buddy. "McCarran, what are you talking about? Move things with me after dinner." Seeing him dawdling, Hey Yufa urged him again. To be honest, Ronan has no appetite at all. Although there are fried chicken, sandwiches, and toast, they are all packed in a dirty wooden barrel. Dirty barrels, and I lost my appetite. Finally a piece of toast was taken away, so dark and hard, I don't know how they managed to eat it. "McCarran, aren't you pretty good at eating? Just eat this today." Luo Ning was really annoying. A big man, mother-in-law and mother-in-law asked all kinds of things. He didn't dare to speak now. His voice was different. If he said it, he would be spotted by McCarran's buddies. But it seems that it is easy to be suspected if you don't speak, so you can only pretend to be hoarse. "My throat is uncomfortable." The difference in timbre was concealed by his hoarse voice. "Hurry up and eat. After eating, move your things. I'll wait for you up there." Luo Ning heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately he was not seen through. "Habitually put toasted bread into my mouth. I regret it after taking a bite, throwing it on the ground while others are not paying attention. The taste is too strong." Stepping on the simple stairs made of iron plates and going up to the second floor, the fat black man beckoned to him, "Come with me." On the way with him, I saw two thugs escorting a hooded man passing by. Luo Ning took a look, dark blue jeans, white sneakers. "That hooded man is Thomas. Be honest." The thug kicked Thomas fiercely. "You don't want to eat the sweets from the boss, but you insist on suffering. You really have you. You will definitely enjoy the cruelest torture in the world later. I don't believe that I can't pry you away. Q. Don't look blindly, don't you understand the rules here?" Hey Yufa said. Luo Ning quickly turned his head and walked forward obediently. The boss is really good enough to actually capture Soldier 76. You should know about Soldier 76, right? It's the movie made by Overwatch Films. Hey Yufa said in a low voice. Ronan shook his head. You are such a coward, you don't even know about Soldier 76. Let me tell you, Soldier 76 is a superhero with extraordinary physical strength. He has a very powerful pulse rifle in his hand. There is nothing it can't pierce. Originally I don't believe that the people in the movie will appear in the real world, but the last time our people went to attack the Bright Star, Soldier 76 appeared, killed all of our people, and it was on the news. Don't you even read the news? Hey Yufa was surprised. Ronan shook his head again. No wonder you can only move things with me here as a coolie. Let me tell you, it's useless to mix in this job. Besides, you are not a sharpshooter, so if we want to get ahead, we have to rely on our brains. Political and military aspects we have to study things, and pay more attention to the news, otherwise we can only be the lowest level mercenaries for the rest of our lives, being ordered around by the boss, without dignity, and maybe taken away by death one day. Luo Ning nodded, wondering if this guy's mouth is not sleepy. Telling him so many promotion skills for mercenaries is of no use. He just wants to save Thomas now. If he delays for a second, Thomas will suffer for another second. When I came to a warehouse, it was full of wooden boxes, and there was no doubt that it was filled with ammunition. Besides the two of them, there were other people carrying ammunition. Hey Yufa picked up a box and walked out. I'm going down first, you come here too. These ammunition will be transported elsewhere. It is said that this place has been targeted. Being watched. Has the military discovered that this is a den of terrorists? Either way, Thomas had to be rescued first. The boxes were sealed, and after they left, Luo Ning pried open one, which was full of grenades, and there were probably explosives in the other boxes. Without further ado, he took out a time bomb, set the timer for 5 minutes, put it in the box, closed it, and walked out in a bright and honest manner. If the time bomb explodes in the ammunition depot, it can blow up the place into ruins. As soon as he went out, he saw Thomas being brought into a room. In order not to attract the attention of the patrolling thugs, Ronan walked there slowly, without looking around. Walking to the door, Luo Ning knocked on the door. One of the thugs opened the door and said vigilantly, "What's the matter?" Through the crack of the door, I saw Thomas was tied to a wooden stake, his mouth was gagged with cloth strips, he was moaning and screaming, and there were execution tools beside him. Fortunately, they didn't have time to use the torture. "Boss wants to see him," Luo Ning said in a normal voice. "What's the big deal? What happened to Soldier 76? Didn't the boss just ask us to bring him here?" Another thug doubted his identity. "Boss said he has found a way to make him speak." Luo Ning continued to make up lies. The two frowned slightly, and opened the door to let him in for a detailed chat. As soon as they opened the door, they smiled and said, "Boss." Luo Ning pointed to himself, wondering, "I'm your boss." As soon as he finished speaking, he felt a rush of heat coming from behind him. He turned his head and saw a tall man. He thought he was not short, but he was still half a head shorter in comparison. "See the whole picture." He also shouted respectfully, "Boss." The mercenary leader was carrying a suitcase in his hand. It seemed that this guy couldn't open the suitcase, so he forced Thomas to ask, but Thomas didn't say anything, so he wanted to use torture to force him to speak. "I'll interrogate him myself," said the mercenary chief. "Boss, he said that you have found a way to make this kid talk." Plop plop. Luo Ning could hear his own heartbeat at this moment, and at the moment the mercenary leader frowned, he decisively completed the transition from Macallan to Soldier 76. The elbow slammed back, the butt of the heavy pulse rifle was facing upwards, and hit the mercenary leader's face. At the same time, he pulled the trigger to kill the two thugs in front of him, and then quickly helped Thomas untie the rope, take the battle suit box from the mercenary leader's hand and give it to him. Thomas was stunned for 2 seconds, as if he still didn't understand what happened. After waking up, he immediately opened the suit box, put on his uniform and fought with Soldier 76. The mercenary leader was knocked half unconscious, and 2 Soldiers 76 appeared in his field of vision, thinking that he was hallucinating, and then Luo Ning hit him again with the butt of his gun, directly knocking him unconscious. "There will be an explosion here in 2 minutes, kill me out," Luo Ning said. Thomas nodded, put on the gas mask and tactical goggles, and took the pulse rifle produced by Stark. "We are all soldiers now." 2 blue tongues of flame, every time they erupted, several people died. Good marksmanship. Seeing that Thomas also hit several people, Luo Ning couldn't help but praise. "This gun is very stable and has almost no recoil." Thomas was also surprised. He could only say that Tony Stark was highly skilled and could design the rifle so perfectly that there was almost no recoil, just like he usually shoots in a shooting club, without pressure. The corner of Ronan's mouth twitched. If Thomas were to try the pulse rifle in his hand, he would probably die of surprise. This is truly recoilless, and it can maintain extreme stability while performing fully automatic pulse shooting. The technological level of the world where Overwatch lives is no worse than that of the Marvel world. Those mercenaries were not vegetarian either. After a short period of confusion, they quickly hid behind the bunker. Those who can become mercenaries are all retired soldiers, or soldiers who have been arrested by the military in violation of regulations. Even if they have not received intensive training all year round, their overall quality is still very high. The fire was so intense that they took cover behind cover. Ronan hid behind a row of steel bars, and Thomas hid behind a wall. Bullets kept coming, hitting the steel bars and sparking, making a crisp sound. Luo Ning quickly pointed his head and shot, and turned back in a second. The moment he turned his head, several energy bullets penetrated the steel plate and hit the thugs hiding behind. "Did you hit?" Thomas couldn't help exclaiming. "Wow! This bullet has too much penetrating power." Thomas also tried it, but he couldn't penetrate the steel plate. It really couldn't be compared with the genuine one, and he was a little frustrated. The mercenaries were fearful. One soldier 76 could go to the sky. Wouldn't two soldiers 76 be able to stand side by side with the sun? There's an uncanny feeling that they're playing the terrorists in the movie, and Soldier 76 will use his pulse rifle to smash them down quickly. Are you kidding? This is not a movie. No matter how strong Soldier 76 is, he is still a mortal body, and he will still die if he is shot. But the fear in their hearts prevented them from rushing forward, just because Soldier 76 had left an unshakable image in their hearts. The words, "I am an army," lingered in their ears, and they did not dare to act rashly. Ronan just like that, took a few shots to retract his head, fired a few shots to retract his head, and finally hit a bunch of enemies with a spiral missile, and the last 20% energy was accumulated. The tactical eyepiece charge finally reaches 100%. There's no time, I'll count to 3 and rush out with me. 3, 2, 1. 3 beats fell, and the tactical eyepiece was activated. The blue light screen floated in front of the tactical eyepiece, locking all the targets in the field of vision one by one, and then opened up the firepower. After one energy crystal was shot, Ronan quickly reloaded it, and wiped out the thugs in an instant. The thugs were like saplings blown by the mangosteen. Without the slightest ability to fight against them, they fell down in pieces. Those bullets all fell behind Luo Ning. As long as I run fast enough, the bullets can't catch up with me. Like a cheetah chasing its prey, it rushed towards the gate desperately, attracting most of the firepower and leaving enough space for Thomas. Seeing that Luo Ning was about to run to the gate, Thomas curled his lips. As expected, he was still powerful. At the moment when his thoughts were running away, a few bullets came. Thomas's pupils constricted sharply. Time seemed to freeze at this moment, all movements slowed down, and he seemed to be able to see the trajectory of the bullet flying. Hiding is impossible. Even if he ran desperately, these bullets would still land on him. Luo Ning, who ran to the gate, looked back, and was immediately dazzled by anger. He shot and killed those mercenaries desperately, and also knocked down the mercenaries who shot at Thomas, but it was useless, because those few bullets had already shot out. Boom, boom, boom. With a very clear voice, Thomas only felt repelled by a force, but did not feel any pain. The jacket was shot through with several rotten holes exposing the metal inside. God bless. Thomas panted heavily. He didn't expect Mr. Stark to add metal to the inside of the jacket. No wonder he felt that the suit was a bit heavy. At first, he thought that his physical fitness was too poor to bear the weight of the suit. In fact, it's not heavy, like a thickened down jacket. It can be seen that Mr. Stark has tried his best to lighten the suit. The technique is really powerful. Seeing this, Luo Ning also heaved a sigh of relief, rolled suddenly, narrowly dodged 2 bullets, got up and cleared the obstacles for Thomas again. Thomas floated completely. Knowing that the bullet would not hurt him, he held his head and rushed forward, not caring about anything. As long as you don't start, shoot as you like, and I will lose if I shoot to death. When the mercenary leader woke up, he shouted at his subordinates, "Where's the man?" Ran. The subordinates were trembling, still trying to shoot the distant figures. Thomas ran wildly with Ronan, and when they ran 200 meters, there was an explosion inside the mercenary stronghold, and the roar continued. WTF. This guy blew up the magazine. The mercenary leader was the first to realize it and ran away, while the others threw their guns away and ran out desperately. Life is gone, guns are useless. After running to a safe distance, Luo Ning turned around, the corners of his mouth slightly raised. I may have been a good person before, but now, I'm just a soldier. Pointing the gun at the gate, killing those mercenaries who wanted to escape one by one, preventing them from going out of that gate. At this time, I thought of the dream million elementary school students in a gun battle. That's right, it is the giant city ruins in the challenge mode. Every player has a dream of blocking the exit to prevent zombies from coming out. However, as the number of waves increases, this dream is shattered. But now, dreams can come true. The explosion continued, and as the interior collapsed, the stronghold lost its support, and the whole collapsed, making it impossible for the people inside to escape. Ended. Luo Ning sighed softly, his left shoulder hurt a little, and he didn't realize that his shoulder was scratched by bullets until the battle was over. His suit had no metal substance, it was a pure uniform. Mr. Luo Ning, your shoulder. Thomas also noticed that the bloodstain on the left shoulder was very eye-catching. Fine. Luo Ning placed a biological launcher on the ground, the light yellow energy slowly rose, and the wound gradually healed. As long as you don't get shot, the bio-force field does a good job of healing wounds. As expected of genuine Soldier 76. Thomas envied. After the wound was completely healed, Luo Ning released the transformation state, his ears moved slightly, and he could vaguely hear the whirring of the wings. Looking into the distance, several helicopters roared towards him. Remember, you saved me. Ronan, who was wearing a tracksuit, said to Thomas. Thomas nodded, opened the suitcase, quickly put on the Soldier 76 mask and wig, looked in the mirror, and posed angrily. Perfect. The soul of secondary school is burning again. Seeing the abandoned factory engulfed in flames, the special soldier driving the helicopter couldn't believe his eyes, closed his eyes and looked again, still the same. After confirming that it is correct, report the situation. Captain, the stronghold has been blown into ruins. What? The short-cut man in camouflage uniform stared. Could it be that the mercenary gang knew we were coming, so they evacuated early and bombed here? Captain, there are 2 people below. Don't let them run away, said the inch-cropped man. This was the only clue, and he was determined not to let it go. Listen, we are the Falcons, put down your weapons and raise your hands, or we'll shoot you. A voice came from the helicopter, and Thomas put the pulse rifle on the ground, then raised his hands, and Ronan did the same. 5 helicopters landed one after another, the wings were blowing up dust, and the noses were itchy with choking. Dozens of special forces jumped out of the helicopter and stood in a neat line. Seeing the 2 people in front of them, their originally resolute and tough faces immediately became funny, and the tension that had just been created was gone. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.